He's always had a certain fascination with humanity, with myself in particular. I think he has more than a passing interest in what happens to me.
That is true. Q's interest in you has always been very similar to that of a master and his beloved pet.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, TNG Podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are veteran Trekkies, and Dory is a newly minted Trekkie, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation, which is now officially over.
What are you talking about? It ended like 30 years ago.
True, but we just got to it now. I will say before we get into it that there are going to be 2 more podcast episodes after this one. We're doing a Season 7 retrospective and then a full series retrospective, so there will be a bit more content after this episode.
And Dory is going to fulfill a several-year-long promise that she made to us.
Well, I don't want to hold her to it, just in case.
It's okay. I've written majority of it
already.
Right. I've written a good portion of it.
So, you've probably guessed, today we are doing the series finale episode titled All Good Things. This was a 2-parter, but we're just going to do it all in one, obviously. The original air date was May 25th, 1994. And as always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay. Bear with me.
There's a lot going on in this episode.
I didn't, partway through this episode, I counted how many pages of notes I had written, and it was 17 at the time, and I wasn't done yet.
Jeez.
Number one, there's a lot that's happened in this. First, before I do the recap, I really need people to know the journey that I went on with this episode. I went through 4 different pens dying on me. I cried 7 times. I also noted what I cried at, so we'll go when it comes up. I'll mention what it was. And I wrote so much that my right hand, I don't think I
did it cramp
dent
up?
in your finger.
Oh.
Yeah, I it. My hand is fucked right now.
Oh, jeez.
I can't look at a fucking pen anymore. But here's the thing. Best episode of the season, hands down.
Hell yeah. I'm very glad that you
Best
liked
episode
it.
of the season.
I was talking with a mutual friend of ours earlier today, and I was telling him that we were going to record this tonight. He was pretty excited about it, but what he said is, so, what you're saying is Dory's already been either impressed or disappointed by the finale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through every fucking emotion possible during the watching of this episode today.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get into it. Okay. So we start off, Worf and Troi are exiting the holodeck. They're both in really cute outfits. That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Troy's in this really cute pink one, and Worf's in a blue outfit. It's cute. So Troy's like, yeah, she really loved this program they did. Worf has always found the Black Sea at night to be a most stimulating experience. And then I just wrote, still together, I guess. And then Troi says, Worf, we were walking barefoot on the beach with balalakia music in the air, ocean breeze washing over us, stars in the sky, a full moon rising, and the most you can say is stimulating. And then Worf goes, it was very stimulating. What?
I love Worf.
Hey, man, he's just not an expressive guy. Give him a break.
Yeah. So then Troi is like, yeah, we got to use the holodeck more, and she gets to pick what they do next time.
Mm-hmm.
And Worf's says, Deanna, perhaps before there is a next time, we should discuss Commander Riker. And then she goes, why? Is he coming along?
That was a very good comeback.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. Yeah, so Worf is very worried about Riker's feelings, but Troi is like, let's focus on our feelings right now. And so Troi and Worf
is
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Worf a Riker guy to the end.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah,
Troy
that-
is right. It's like, he has nothing to do with this.
Yeah. So they start to lean in for a kiss, and when and Picard appears out of fucking nowhere. I initially thought, oh, that's his quarters. No, it's not. We learned it's fucking not. He fucking showed up out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, he came like around the corner or something.
Yeah. So yeah, and he's like, "What's today's date?" And also, gotta mention the robe. The robe is
Yeah.
an important factor
Yes.
in this episode for me.
They had to get in one last deep V.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that full length robe to the floor. Even though it's gray, the drama of this robe is everything. I love it.
And it's like one of those it's not like one of those like towel robes. It's like a thin material, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
sort of like
This
a grayish shade, sage greeny kind of deal.
It's great.
Yeah.
And he wears it for a good chunk. But
Yeah.
that's it's not the there's a factor in this that'll come into play later about this robe for me. Okay. So he's like, what's today's date? And Worf says it's 47988, which of course means nothing
Yeah.
to me. But I'm like, okay. And then Picard is like, I don't know what's going on or how or why or whatever, but he's moving back and forth in time. And then we have opening credits. And I immediately noticed the guest star names.
Yeah. When I was watching it, I'm like, ugh, fucking stupid credits spoiling like everyone that shows up.
So we got Q, we got Yar, we got O'Brien.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow. So Picard. Okay, so now we're after the credits.
Also-
Picard says that he had sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just have to bring this up. Without the context of Deep Space Nine, it feels so weird that they have O'Brien so much in this episode.
Yeah.
me.
I'm wondering if they
Like-
did that as kind of like a, hey, go watch our other show now. Kind of like they did
It-
in season 4 of DS9 where they brought in Worf.
Yeah, it could be, but yeah, the only thing you have to know, because it's kind of important, is that on Deep Space Nine, O'Brien is the chief engineer, so that's why that'll be important context for later.
Okay, so Picard said that he had a feeling that he physically left the Enterprise, that he was in another place, another time, and he was somewhere in the past. And Troy asks if he can describe where he was, and he doesn't really remember. He says it feels like waking up from a nightmare. And so then Picard says that he was first like a year, we start like years before he took command of the Enterprise, when really it's like just as he's taking control of the Enterprise.
Yeah,
And he doesn't remember who he's talking to. Everything changed, and then he was an old man in the future, and I was outside and I was doing something. I don't remember if that's my own line or if that's something that is in, because I don't think he was saying I was outside and I was doing something, but maybe he might
does.
have. I don't know.
I
He
don't,
does? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's those exact words.
It is along those
but
lines.
he is vague.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
doesn't remember what he was doing, but he knows he was
Yeah.
outside doing something. So
Okay. So then Troy asks if it's possible that it was just a dream, but Picard was like, oh no, like senses were working. It felt way more real than a dream, but he's not really sure like how long he's spending in these moments. He's basically, whenever he like shifts to the next, what I have called eras, he's basically like, what the fuck? But then
yeah.
everything sort of clicks and feels normal.
I guess this is Picard's Eras tour.
Ugh.
Kind of. I do have, here's the thing, I do have names for each of the eras. So Picard said,
The eras?
okay. So yeah, he's like basically, what the fuck? And then everything sort of clicks and feels natural. And then mid-sentence, I have to give credit to the editing and the cinematography for this episode, because every time they shifted to a different era, flawless.
Yeah.
I think it was excellent.
Yep.
It was so well done.
Every
it's
shift
weird
was like
because
so smooth.
It's weird because like they're jump cuts in a lot of cases, but the editing and the cinematography makes it very clear, even though it's a jump cut, this is a different place, and it blindsides
and it
you every
looks
time.
good.
But it's
Yeah.
it's done so convincingly.
Yeah, especially with our modern eye, because we are so much more used to jump cuts now. Like they're just their own style nowadays. So like even that, it feels like really well done.
Yep, definitely agreed.
Okay, so mid-sentence, he ends up shifting to older Picard with a beard and a hat, and he's outside in a vineyard. And this is the era in which I have decided to call Beard Era Picard.
Fair.
Not incredibly, listen, my era names are not incredibly inventive. It just helped me keep track.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's concise. It helps you. It's very very apt.
So this is just so now we're in Beard Era Picard, or just Beard Era. Okay, yeah. So he's on the vineyard. I wrote the once a season trip outdoors to film it real outdoors.
Yeah, when they decide they have the budget for on location.
I like how for a second you couldn't remember what you were going to say next, and you were just like,
well, I was trying to figure out what
like
word
he was
I wrote
here, and
or
then
what
he
I
was
meant.
there, and it's like, oh, you're just like Picard was.
No, I just couldn't read what I wrote, and I wasn't sure what I was referring to. It took me a second to remember what I was talking about in my notes. And then who do we hear from a distance? We hear Captain Picard to the bridge. Captain, we've got a problem with the warp core, or the phase inducers, or some other damn thing. Who is it? It's Geordi.
Yeah.
Ah! And so Picard goes over, hugs Geordi, who's got like a little bit of facial hair and no visor.
Yeah.
And Geordi looks great. We learned this Beard Era is 25 years later than where we currently are. And I guess I'll mention now, current era, where the show, where we've been with everyone most of the time, I've decided to call the Robe Era. Robe Era Picard. Because he wears it for so much that I was like, that's the distinguishing feature for me for this particular era. We got Robe Era, we got Beard Era.
Fair.
Okay. And then we got one more, but we'll get to it when we get to it. Okay, so, so Geordi is like, calls him like, he's an ambassador, then he's like Mr. Picard, and then Picard's like, or you could just call me Jean-Luc. And I was like, 25 years later, and only now he's calling him by his first name.
But even Geordi's like, I don't know if I can get used to that. Like,
yeah. So Geordi helps Picard tying this tape on the vines, and I was like, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, okay. I figured out. Okay. I made a lot, because I changed pens so many times, my notes are insane. So apologies. This is going to be an incredibly messy recap.
Although that is also fitting for our finale episode. For you to not be able to read what you wrote. Your pen died 1,000 times. I'm sure you wrote in the margins thinking you would be done at some point.
I didn't, because I this is the last, and I did have space left in my notebook. So I just like nothing in the really nothing in the margins.
Okay.
I just wrote very messy. Okay, so Geordi, we learned, is still with I realized when I said what's going on, that's me. That's not what's them. That was questions from me being what's going on. Because then Geordi is like, he's with Leah Brahms.
No, he's with Leah. It's implied that it's Leah Brahms, but it's not.
I'm just assuming.
I'm assuming too, and honestly, awkward choice.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because she was married.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, as they say, a lot can happen in 25 years.
True.
And we'll get to that too. I know exactly why you brought that up, Dory.
We'll talk about it when we get to it. So then we learned that Picard was diagnosed with something called rheumatic syndrome, in which I immediately burst into tears. This was cry number one, because I was like, oh no, he's sick. What's wrong? I was like, I don't get it. What's happening? And then I wrote, because this syndrome can take years for it to take its course. And then I just wrote, what's the course? Why am I already crying? And so Picard offers to make some tea for Geordi. And Geordi also, they're walking back to wherever. They're just walking in the vineyard. And Geordi, we learned, writes novels, but Picard has found his last protagonist to be too flamboyant. I'm like, what? Okay, so then we cut to like 3 random people shouting, and only Picard sees them. Geordi does not. They're just like scattered in the vineyard, just screaming, and then they disappear. And so then Geordi is like repeats captain, and then it turns into a woman's voice repeating, and then we hear a female voice asking if this will be his first time on a galaxy level, a galaxy class ship. And then I cried for the second time for the reveal that it was Tasha Yar asking this question. And so I actually then was like, did she actually bring Picard to the Enterprise, like it canonically? Because that's kind of wild. But the way that also that they started it off, where he was like, oh, you look familiar or something, or you look like someone. I was like, oh, is this not Yar? Is this someone who just like looks like Yar? I'm so confused. It is Yar. It is just like
Yar. He was just because he was staring, and she's like, what?
Yeah.
Why are you staring? Basically, and he just lies and says you look familiar as an excuse to why he was staring at her so intently.
Yeah. Okay, so we pull up to the brand new Enterprise. It's honestly like a really cool shot from within like the shuttle, and it's like through the windshield, and just see like really grand view of the Enterprise. And from that we cut over to Robe era Picard, who's back in his quarters with Troy. And he was like, I was just with Yar in the shuttle. And so they're like, cool, let's go see Dr. C.
Yeah.
So then Dr. C says that she can't really find anything that would cause Picard to be having hallucinations. And I just wrote, I can't believe no one has thought of Q yet. This is literally his kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like how is this not? But I was like, whatever. I could be also totally wrong, but like he was in the credits. So I was like, to me, this feels Q loves to fuck around with time stuff.
Yeah.
We've seen this before. So I was like,
True,
this is,
but
I can't believe that it didn't occur to them.
Yeah, Q usually like announces himself when he's doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, he's very confident.
Fair. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. To me, time shit, I was like, this feels like a Q thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
then,
they should have like expected that possibility.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Dr. C's been doing scans and whatever, and she says to Picard, personally, I think, he's also still in Robe. Personally, I think you just enjoy waking everybody up in the middle of the night. And then Picard says, actually, I really like running around the ship in my bare feet.
And his robe.
I will say, I feel Picard on that so much, because I love the feeling of carpet on my bare feet, and sometimes as an incentive for me to walk to the garbage chute to throw away my garbage, I will walk down the hall in bare feet, because I just really like the way it feels on my
Okay,
feet.
John McClane.
Well, it feels nice. It's legitimate advice. Fist with your toes. Fist with your toes.
I know.
Anyway.
I like grass. I like grass on I like standing on grass in my bare feet.
Yeah, that's nice too.
I like grass. Okay, so then who walks in? One of my faves, Nurse Alyssa Agawa, and she brings Dr. C test results, and it shows that based on his oxygen levels, he has not left the Enterprise for a few weeks. So they're like, okay, this is really weird. So also then I was like, what is he doing when he like shifts to wherever? Is he just like standing there doing nothing, like kind of like just in a zone? They kind of clarify it later.
Yeah.
But I was like, what was Troy doing when he was just kind of like in a different time, in the other time, just like he just stands there like paused or something. I think that's like really funny.
No, what happens is time doesn't pass at all.
Everyone just stands there. Yeah.
No, I mean time stops completely.
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've realized that later, but I just kept thinking like everyone else was like moving around him, and he was just the only one that's still, and I'm like, that's really funny. But yeah, no, I see, because like every time they go jump into the next whatever era, they're like picking off exactly,
Yeah.
well, mostly where we left off. Not every time, but I think it's supposed to be like a
Yeah.
no, actually, we don't flip back every single time exactly where we left off, but
it's pretty close.
I'm willing.
Yeah.
I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for this. So then Dr. C asks Picard to speak in private, and she tells him that she scanned him for the rheumatic syndrome, and she didn't find anything, but she did find a small structural defect in the parietal lobe. And this defect would allow him to be susceptible to neurological conditions, including the rheumatic syndrome.
Yeah.
And you can just sort of live with this, whatever. It might be no issues. It's just kind of information. There's really not much to do at this exact moment in time.
Yeah.
And this has honestly shaken her up. It feels like more than him.
Yeah, she's like really like
She's shook.
yeah, she's shaken.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's just like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll be around for a really long time. And then I shit you not, I wrote, then they kiss. JK, I wish.
Well,
And then, okay, so then Riker comes in to the sick bay and he's like, well, we got nothing. And then Worf calls to say there's an incoming transmission from Admiral Nakamura, priority 1 message. And so Picard goes to take it, take the call in Dr. C's office. And Picard's just like wandering around in that robe.
yeah.
So he does the video chat, video chat, just full, like,
Chest out.
robe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tits out, robe on. And, okay. So, Admiral Nakamura tells Picard that he's initiating a fleet-wide yellow alert. Starfleet Intelligence has pulled up some alarming reports that from the Romulan Empire, 30 warbirds have been pulled from other assignments and are heading to the neutral zone. Contacts on Romulus say something is about to go down in the neutral zone, specifically the Devron system. And Starfleet long-range scans have picked up a spatial anomaly in the area, but they don't really know what it is. So Nakamura is deploying 15 starships to their side of the neutral zone and wants Enterprise to get over there too and figure out what's going on. But they're not authorized to cross into the neutral zone. They can do scans and probes if necessary, but do not cross the border unless they do. And I was like, oh, they're gonna cross the fucking border, hands down, no question about it.
Because they always do.
Picard, oh, absolutely. And then, so Picard gets up from Dr. C's chair and then immediately switches to the Beard era, where it's still in the vineyard with Geordi. And Beard Picard is like, I don't belong here. Something's going on. This is not my time. I was just talking to Beverly, and Geordi does that, like, it's okay, Grandpa, they're there thing. And Picard's like, I'm not senile. I know something's going on. And Geordi's like, okay, so, like, what do you want to do about it then? And Picard wants to go see Data. He thinks Data could be helpful for reasons.
And then Geordi is once again like, okay, Grandpa, we'll take you to Data.
Yeah. Yeah. And for some reason, I just kind of like assumed that like Geordi and Data would leave the Enterprise together, and they're kind of like a Bert and Ernie situation.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just assumed they would like.
You don't know why?
Just, like,
because
be
they're
roommate.
best buddies.
No, like they're best friends, yeah, but
Yeah.
I just kind of assumed they would like move in together somewhere. I do recognize that it's 25 years later, so they don't.
Yeah, they're
like,
not in high school
No one's
anymore.
required to like.
Yeah.
They were on the Enterprise.
I
but now
know,
they're
but
not.
for some, yeah. But I just was like, I don't know. I kind of figured they'd be like somewhere together and not like so far apart. I mean, I don't know where. I think they mentioned that Geordi is like on a different world,
Rigel
but I don't
7,
remember what it was called.
I think it was.
Yeah, so
Rigel
he's not
7.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Picard is like, Because Picard is like, why are you here? And he's like, I just wanted to say
Yeah.
hi. And Picard's like, you don't come all the way from Rigel 7 just to say hi.
Yeah, I knew it was another planet, but I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know where Rigel 7 is, so it doesn't
Yeah, I'm
super
not sure.
make a difference. to me.
Rigel 7 is like kind of a generic space planet that's used really, really often in sci-fi. It is like like Rigel is an actual system, and I think it was one of the earlier ones that we like mapped and discovered somewhere. But the point is, it is used in sci-fi all over the place, and that predates Star Trek.
Yeah. But yeah, it is very inconvenient because if they were both on, because in this era, like if they were both on Earth, that would not be, like, I feel that's kind of like just being in like, it'd be like being in Ottawa versus Toronto. But I think Rigel 7's more like, he's in Australia.
Basically. Oh,
Yeah.
Rigel is in Orion. Yeah, it's like it's the left foot.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Data is at Cambridge University. Oh yeah, so Picard, they're still in the vineyard, and they see more, Picard sees more randos yelling. And then we cut to Data's place, and it's very, very nice. He receives... Data's outfit is great too. Everyone's got good outfits in this,
Yeah.
like new fun outfits. And he's also got, to my count, 4 cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping you would notice that. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Of course I would notice that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just lounging
I was like,
all
oh,
over the
cute.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. It was so funny because the first time when we're in the room, there's a cat on Data's lap. And then we go over to like these other chairs and there's a cat on the other chair. And then Picard goes to sit down and there's a cat on that chair.
Yeah.
And then the cat goes off the chair and we turn over to see Data's like housekeeper or something, Jessel. And she's holding a cat too,
Yeah.
a different cat.
And there was
I was like,
also
what the
there was
fuck?
also at least one cat sitting on the mantle above the fireplace.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
like
there was
truly,
two, but there was definitely at least one.
Yeah, I initially just counted 4, but I didn't look too hard. But I was like, there's a fuck ton of cats here.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Data's place is really nice. Meep. Oh, but I thought he was going to introduce the cat, and I was like, I'm going to assume the cat's name is like something super generic, just based on Spot, like Patches or something. But we never find out what Data names all his cats, his little army of cats. So his housekeeper, Jessel, she comes in and she goes, how do you like your tea? And the Picard goes, tea? Earl Grey, hot. And then Jessel goes, of course it's hot. What do you want in it?
Yeah.
And Picard just goes, nothing.
No, he doesn't say it like that. He's like,
So-
nothing!
Nothing, yeah. So Data is a professor at Cambridge, and he lives in Sir Isaac Newton's old place there.
Yeah.
And
I think it's like a whatever his position at the university is. I think that's just like the residence.
the residence.
Yeah, the residence that they give
Yeah,
you.
that's exactly it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so then like also Jessel's like, if you're really his friend, you'll get him to take the gray out of his hair. It looks like a bloody skunk. So yeah, Data has like dyed a chunk of his hair.
Yeah.
Just gray.
And it's not even.
It's
Sorry.
it's
Go
a
ahead.
it's a choice.
Yeah, it's because it's not like one little streak or whatever. It's like almost a quarter of his head is gray. Like he knew
it's a
to
block.
he knew to do the gray streak, but he like kind of overdid it. It's like,
Yeah.
and if you notice that Data in the beard era, in Picard beard era, is using contractions, and he makes and he emotes more with his face, like he smiles and stuff.
I didn't notice the contractions, but I did notice that he was doing a lot more. It was a lot more expressive. Okay, so Picard's also not happy with this tea. He thinks it's Darjeeling, but whatever. That's beside the point. So Picard, Data tells Picard that there really isn't anything. So Picard tells Data what the fuck's going on, and Data's like, to be fair, there's really like, you can't prove it, but you can't disprove it. So like, for all intents and purposes, we could like look into this then, because like, what's it seems okay.
Yeah.
And suggests doing these scans and using resources that he has at the school. And he tells Jessel to get another professor to go to his lectures for the rest of the week. And so Picard then stands from the chair at Data's and now is arriving on the Enterprise. And we see O'Brien, Troy, and Worf waiting for him in the shuttle bay.
Yeah, in their season
So-
1 outfits.
Yes.
Yes. And so Picard then steps up to this podium, does a speech, but he keeps getting distracted by the earlier mentioned randos pointing, jeering, being loud, whatever. And so he keeps looking at stuff like these people. So everyone there, the crew keeps looking around, being like, what the fuck is he looking at? But there's nothing. They don't see it. And Picard just is getting kind of overwhelmed. And then he calls a red alert, and everyone's like, "What? What the fuck do you mean?"
Yeah, because he does it
And
like very out of the blue.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, I can't really, he can't really tell anyone what's really going on with him." So he's just like, "Yeah, don't worry." Oh no, what the fuck did I write? Picard is like, "Well, can't tell anyone what's going on with me to not let them know I know what's coming."
Oh, he basically...
Which really sucks because he knows. Oh yes, because Yara's like, "What's going on? Can you?" And he's just like, he can't say what's coming because like he's like, oh, he knows Yara's gonna die, and like if he says something, and I don't know, it would change.
Yeah,
I think at this point, I think Picard is thinking of time travel rules.
Yeah. He does
So
a
he's
little...
like, he doesn't want to.
He does a little captain's log saying like, in this time period, I'm not going to tell the crew what's happening because I don't want to compromise the future by giving them like future knowledge, basically.
Yeah. He's still playing by the time travel.
Do you have a
rules.
name for this era yet, or is that you're waiting till?
Oh yes, I forgot. No, I do. This is what I called original flavor Picard because it's the earliest.
Yeah.
But then the more we went on, I was like, well, that doesn't. I didn't think of anything else for it though, so I just kept calling it OF era.
OF era. That's hilarious. We could call it the Tasha era.
I don't know. I feel like I've called everything related to Picard because he is the moving factor in this. So I think I want to keep it.
OF
with
era is
Picard.
also funny, just because it sounds like only.
That's what I put in my notes because I didn't want to write original flavor every single time.
That's fair.
So I just wrote OF era in my notes.
Ah, yes, Picard's OnlyFans era.
Yeah. Okay, so Troy, Worf, and Yar meet Picard in the observation lounge. And I was like, "Where is Geordi and Data at this point?" Because I knew that Riker and Dr. C show up at Farpoint, but I did not remember Geordi showing up then. I thought Geordi was already on the ship at this point.
He was,
too.
but he was kind of like just a random helmsman. He wasn't like because remember the first like two, 3 seasons, like there wasn't they just kept having a rotating chief engineer, like it was just some random guy.
Yeah,
all the
they
time.
made Geordi chief engineer in
Okay,
season
I
3.
totally forgot about that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I forgot about that. Okay.
But Data was there. Data was on the bridge.
Yeah, he shows up. Yeah, Data shows up later, but he's not in this part for some reason though.
Yeah.
So he's okay, no, that's not relevant. Okay, so Picard then asks Troy if she senses anything out of the ordinary, any like super intelligent beings, and she's like, nope, just the crew and the families on the ship. And I think at this point he's like thinking maybe Q. And Picard then gives Worf the security order, but then Yar's like, actually, Captain, that's my job, unless you're planning to make some changes. And he's like, oh, shit, no, no, you do it. Like,
Yeah,
nope,
yeah.
whoops, my bad.
I actually enjoyed that
I
slip
then-
up.
totally forgot that Tasha was the chief of security at this point.
Yeah. So then O'Brien calls Picard to the bridge, and we learn a number of vessels are moving towards the neutral zone. And so then I wrote, is the same event happening in every time period or time era? I just wrote every time. Yeah. And then Picard, then he points out that the large spatial anomaly has appeared in the neutral zone in the Davron system, because they also this is when he's like, oh, it's there also. And then I was like, haha, I was right. It is happening, and all this conflict seems to be happening in every time. So then Worf was like, could be a trick to lure Starfleet into the neutral zone as an excuse for a military strike. And then O'Brien, what? Okay, but O'Brien says that Starfleet is canceling the mission to go to Farpoint Station and ordering them to go to the neutral zone. But then Picard is like, no, we're going to Farpoint. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're gonna go get Riker and Dr. C, and I guess Wes by association. But no, we don't actually do that. Picard puts up some like meh about it, and they don't.
Well, I mean, they
so
kind
then-
of had to work around the fact that, like, number one, Wesley is a man now.
Also, yeah,
and-
they could not use a younger Riker.
Yeah, and Riker looks a lot different. Also.
Yes. But that's funny though, like why Picard would be like, no, we have to go to Farpoint anyways. Like, why would this gives them the perfect out to not go to Farpoint? So
Yeah.
why would he be like, we gotta go anyways? Okay, that's weird.
I think it's probably because he wants to like keep the past the same.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
So he's like, no, we're not going to do anything different. We're gonna do what we're quote unquote supposed to do.
And he doesn't. Okay, so then Worf and Yar are like, gasp. Federation security is at stake, but Picard's getting Riker and Dr. C is worth it. So then Troy's like, maybe if we understood what you're thinking, and Picard's like, nope, hard pass, just follow my orders. And then he's like, O'Brien, here's a thing, I know you know how to fix it. And then we see this like a better shot of the Enterprise, and it's kind of like a part of like it's being sort of held up by like what I wrote in my note I called Spider Base.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, okay, we're just like picking up. Oh no, so I wrote, okay, I was like, we just picking up crew everywhere. Because we hadn't seen Data or Geordi yet, I was like, we're just going around like a fucking school bus, picking up all the kids to go to school, to go to the same place. But no, that is not the case. So Picard is like, O'Brien, you can do this fix. Oh, they're in engineering. And O'Brien's like, yeah, this is not really my area of expertise. And Picard is like, well, years of building starship engines in your childhood has finally come to fruition. And O'Brien is like, oh, how do you know that? Picard's like, it's in your Starfleet records.
I like that O'Brien just
And he's
accepts
like,
that.
like
Okay.
that's a
He's like, all
yeah.
right.
He's like, that's a weird thing to be in Starfleet records.
Yeah.
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 But this is the moment where I said the context of Deep Space Nine comes into play, where it's like Chief O'Brien did do a bit of engineering like while the character was on TNG, but like Deep Space Nine really establishes that he's like a really good engineer. So that's why Picard's like, I believe in you, I know you can do this, that sort of thing.
So then O'Brien, so they're like, okay, we're going to be doing this. This is a project. So then O'Brien says, we'll all be burning the midnight oil on this one. They're going to update the power grids or whatever. And then Data fucking walks by out of fucking nowhere and goes, that would be inadvisable. And just like keeps going.
Yeah.
And then O'Brien goes, excuse me. And then Data doubles back and he goes, if you attempt to ignite a petroleum product on this ship, at 0-100 hours, you will activate the fire suppression system, which would seal off the entire compartment. And Picard just kind of is like smiling as he's listening, like, yeah, Data.
Yeah, because
this
this shows like really how far Data has come. Because
Yeah.
like at like our like the present in the show's universe, like Data like that version of Data would not take that so literally. He would have recognized that it's just like an idiom.
Yeah, because O'Brien then says that was just an expression, and then Data goes, expression of what? Then O'Brien goes, a figure of speech. I was trying to tell him that we'd be working late. And then Data says, then to burn the midnight oil implies late work. And then O'Brien goes, that's right. And then Picard's like, lol, I think... Because Data's then like, what's the etymology of this idiom? And Picard's like, okay, let me just like get in here now. And so then Picard shows Data this other thing that he needs him to do, and then Data goes, "It appears will be required to ignite the midnight petroleum, sir."
You know what annoys me about that? Watching it now and like thinking back on it, why did Data assume that oil was petroleum?
I don't know.
Oil is a petroleum product. I think
It can be, but candle oil isn't necessarily petroleum, or not. Burning oil isn't necessarily petroleum.
I mean, he probably.
I think it's just they just picked a word.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with it.
Okay.
So then we hear Dr. C's voice, and she starts speaking to Picard, and he shifts over to Robe Era. And this is where I had decided my eras. So original flavor Picard, Robe Era, and Beard Era. So then Picard says that he remembers more. It seems like the more he shifts for longer amounts of time, the more he can remember. So Dr. C does another temporal scan and compares it to the one from a few minutes ago, and there's a 13% increase in basically the activity. It shows that like he has over 2 days worth of memories, just over a couple compared to a few minutes ago. And then Picard asks Troy about okay, sorry, I did this sort of my notes out of order. And they're in the observation lounge. Crew meeting. I love we got multiple crew meetings in this bridge. Everyone was there. I was so excited. And he asks Troy if the events from his shift when he first arrived, he was like, "Do you remember a red alert?" And she was like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, good to know." And then they're like, basically it seems like stuff happening in one Picard era is not really affected by another whatever's going on in a different Picard era. But both in the OF era and Robe era, there is this spatial anomaly in the neutral zone in the Devron system. So Picard is like, well, maybe we don't have like a ton to go. Like, we don't have a ton to go off of. So let's sort of like prepare for whatever this thing is with the Romulans in the meantime. And so like all departments, give me your fucking reports due tomorrow. So everyone is sort of heading off in their own directions to go write their reports. And Riker's like, "Hey, Troy, dinner?" And she's like, well, fuck. But she's like, well, Worf, for like 1 second, you see her face, she's like, fuck, Worf was right. We should have talked to him or something. And then she's like, "Sorry, can't, I have plans." And then Worf's like really awkwardly like, "Good night, sir." And then Riker just goes, "Worf." And I just put in my notes, I would love to know what Riker is thinking in this exact moment. He just like flashes back to that conversation with Worf a few episodes at the bar. It was...
Fun fact: there is a cut scene in the script that was going to be the two of them actually having that conversation.
Oh no!
No, like they were going to settle it properly.
Oh, okay. Okay, so then Picard... from that meeting, Picard, Dr. C, Data, and Riker, they go to the bridge. Picard tells Riker to be prepared to take over if he shifts again. And Riker is still thinking about Troy and Worf. And he's like, kind of like, is distracted, doesn't immediately respond. And then Picard's like, "You okay?" And then Riker's like, yeah, just distracted, I'm fine. So then Picard tells Riker he's in charge and goes to his ready room. So Dr. C then follows after Picard. And then Dr. C goes over to the replicator and orders milk, warm, dash of nutmeg, and I just wrote nightmare fuel. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast. I really like warm milk. To me is disgusting. Hot milk or bust. Cold milk or bust. Hot milk or warm milk, I can't.
Yeah, I understand.
I can't do it. I think also, like, I'm not a hot drink person in general. So, like, a drink to me that is fundamentally supposed to be cold, that you choose to have it hot, like, boggles my mind.
Yeah.
To be fair, this is also one of those, like, grandma cures. Like, this is not necessarily the sort of thing that the writers did. It's the sort of thing that their grandmother, who was, like, who
Also,
was like already in
yeah.
her 70s, was doing in the 90s.
Also, technically, milk is supposed to be body temperature.
That doesn't change anything for me.
Oh, I know. I'm just being pedantic because it's like, technically, milk is not supposed to be cold because it comes right out of the body.
Technically, nothing's supposed to be cold.
Eh.
Well, ice is.
Prove it. Exactly. You can't.
Anyway, I would never drink a straight up glass of hot milk unless it had, like a thimble of coffee in it.
The thimble.
That's what a latte is. It's just a giant cup of warm, like hot milk with like a tablespoon of coffee.
Yeah, that's true.
2 tablespoons, maybe. Anyway, sorry.
All right, so that's okay. So Dr. C then prescribes Picard a glass of warm milk. I wrote gross, and then 8 hours of interrupted sleep, and I wrote the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote maybe Dr. C should supervise. So that she sits down on his desk, and he's sitting in the chair, and she's telling him to go to sleep, and they're just looking into each other's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? And so then I thought like they're looking into each other's eyes, and I paused to write my notes, and I thought the scene was like gonna end just right there.
Mm-hmm.
Picard goes Beverly and puts his hand on hers,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just like, okay, hands off the computer, we're just gonna let this fucking play.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm crying for the third time. Dr. C is like, as a doctor, her job is often giving people bad news. And Picard is like, this diagnosis in the future. She's like, she thinks Picard having this diagnosis in the future is upsetting. But Picard is like, yeah, but the future's not set in stone. A lot can change in 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this really like gets Dr. C going, because she just like leans in, and then they fucking kiss.
Mm-hmm.
It took everything inside of me not to scream.
Mm-hmm.
I started laughing so hard that I just wrote, like, I was laughing so hard I started to cry.
Oh, wow.
And then I fell off my chair and I just was sitting on the floor just like laughing and crying. I really went through it in the scene.
Yeah. Wow.
I thought, and I had so many jokes throughout my notes for this episode of like, I even wrote in this, when they're looking at each other, I paused because I was like, they're looking at each other, here's the timestamp, and then I wrote, they gonna kiss, please? And then they did!
Yeah.
You finally got what you wanted, Dory.
Not quite.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Well, fair.
Okay, so then I just wrote, I am shocked, gooped, gagged.
Mm-hmm. I
then
forgot that they did that, so I was surprised they actually went there.
Yeah, I was absolutely like dying. So then, yeah, Dr. C's like, a lot of things can happen. And then Picard is like a tiny smile on his face, and then she leaves the room, and then we cut to Beard era Picard, and Geordi is waking him up. I'm like, let him dream. He just got to kiss Dr. C. Leave it. Let him dream.
Mm-hmm.
Let him bask in the moment for a minute. So then Picard tells Geordi they need to go to the neural zone and the neutral zone. I wrote neural for some reason so many times, even though I know it's neutral zone. And says that we have to go there in the other eras as well. And if the same anomaly is in Beard era, then like they have to make sure to see if it is in Beard era, because it's been in the other two eras. I don't remember what this is referring to, but I just wrote, we're talking about a whole ass thing. I don't know what I'm referring to, but okay, but Geordi agrees and is like, yeah, we'll look into it. And but then he's like, there is no more neutral zone. Okay, so then we learned the fucking Klingons took over the Romulan Empire.
Mm-hmm.
and the stuff between the Klingons and the Federation are not great right now. And I just wrote, Gowron, you better not have been involved. Don't do this to me, Gowron. So Geordi's like, okay, we're gonna need a ship. And then Picard's like, I'm gonna call in some favors. And he's like, Admiral Riker, let's call him. They did a really, we'll call it a questionable aging job on Riker. I think
Yeah.
everyone else they did a pretty good job on.
They did a good
Riker
job on everyone
looks
else.
kind of insane.
Yeah. It's
Everyone else looks pretty good. He looks truly kind of insane. The gray eyebrows are truly sending me.
yeah.
They're upsetting. Also noticed a new Starfleet logo.
Yeah.
Yep,
On
that's right.
Riker's
Well,
outfit.
it's not new exactly, but yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, we have seen it before, though.
Yeah, I think they used it when it was the Riker episode where like the Romulans tricked him to thinking it was like the future or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, with the,
Yeah.
the gray
Okay.
alien kid.
Yeah, it's kind of
Oh,
become
okay.
yeah, that logo's kind of become the default, like this is in the future logo for Starfleet. Yeah.
Okay, so Riker's like, I want to help, but like what Picard wants is impossible. The Klingons have closed the borders to all Federation ships. And then I just wrote, why didn't Alexander say anything about any of this? Mm-hmm. This would have been kind of a he
I can
knows
tell
about
you
all
why
this
he
shit
didn't.
happening because it didn't happen yet, and because the writers didn't decide it till afterwards.
No, because the scene was cut.
Oh,
Yeah, there were a lot of cut scenes for this episode.
okay, wild.
So what happened? I'll interrupt you briefly to talk a little bit about the backstory. What happened was the script was written and they turned in their first draft, and everyone on the crew and the cast fucking loved it. They were like, "This is absolutely phenomenal. This gives us everything that we want." And then Michael Piller came in and said, "Yes, but the ending sucks. The second half of this is a fucking mess." And so he had to tighten it up so that it, was actually filmable for a TV episode. And he ended up cutting a shit ton of really good character moments. And afterwards, everyone looked at it and said, no, you fucked this up. We have to add a bunch of those back in. So they did add a good chunk of them back in, probably about 75% of them, and like changed it around to make things work. But things like Alexander coming in for one last hurrah got left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well as a very weird scene that was going to be there was going to be a whole side plot about that Torellium that Torellian plague thing that was mentioned earlier in the episode, and that
Oh,
that was
actually, we haven't
completely
gotten
cut
to that
apart,
yet.
too. Like they got rid of that entire side plot.
Yeah. No,
Which-
I haven't even
good, it
we
was
haven't gone to
useless.
the plague yet.
Well, no, that's no, they didn't mention it yet. Oh no, you're right.
Nope, not
you're
yet.
right, because they're not on the Pasteur yet. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So Riker just somehow conveniently saw a report that in the particular sector that they're talking about, the Devron system, he saw something this morning and there's no activity. So I'm like, oh, and I just wrote, how wild would it be if Riker did go evil as an admiral and is just lying to Picard? A classic admiral move. And Riker says that like he would have like ships do the scans and let him know if anything happens, but Picard is really not satisfied with that answer. And Riker's like, cool, too bad. And then like Riker out before Picard could say anything else. And Picard is really pissed, but Data has an idea. He's like, we could board a medical ship because right now there's an outbreak of this plague on Romulus and the Klingons are letting Federation medical ships cross the border. So medical ships is the vibe right now. Mm-hmm. And who do we know that quite possibly be on a medical ship? And I wrote, it better not be Dr. C. Of course it's Dr. C.
Why didn't you want it to be Dr. C?
Because it was just, I don't know. I don't know. I think we got to a point where things were getting a little too convenient in terms of like resources. So
well, I mean, Picard's a man with connections. I don't think that's
no, I know, but I don't know. I just was like, I don't want it to be Dr. C for reasons. but she is the captain of the Pastor and medical ship, and she's like, yeah, sure, I get, like, they go to her, and she's really excited to see Data and Geordi, but it's really awkward with Picard. They do like this weird like hug, handshake, the weird dance, like
it's like,
very
should we hug?
awkward.
Should we shake hands? What should we be doing?
Yeah. Okay, so then I don't really understand what I wrote there. Anyways, okay, I just wrote, this episode is breaking me. Their awkwardness, and then Dr. C says crossing into Klingon territory, it's absurd. But then I never could say no to you, and then Picard says, oh, so that's why you married me? And I silent screamed. Like, this episode will kill me. This episode will end my life. I will pass at the end of this episode. So then Dr. C is like, first we gotta get clearance to cross the Klingon border, and Geordi's like, hey, how about Worf? And the Picard's like, oh yeah, Worf is so key to this. But Data's like, I don't know what Worf's really doing. He might be the governor of this thing. He might be he was in the High Council. Don't really know what but we can try the governor thing. So they reach out to him. Oh wait, just kidding. Hold on. Oh, okay, no, they're still there. So then one of the other crew on board goes Captain Picard, and both Picard and Dr. C turn around.
Yeah.
And then Picard's being kind of like irritable or whatever, and Dr. C asks one of the other crew members, Nell, to take Picard to his quarters, and then Picard goes, look, you're treating me as if I am an invalid. I do have a few years left in me yet. I do not want to be led around, and I do not want to be patronized. And then Dr. C says, you're right, I'm sorry. And then he goes, now I'll go and get some rest. Yeah. Like Picard, man.
Yeah. He is truly a grumpy old man.
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't know if you noticed this, but like when, you know, that moment when like they call for Captain Picard and they both turn, Jean-Luc Picard says, oh, you kept the name. So that gives you a little clue as to the deal with their current relationship status is.
An amicable breakup.
Oh, okay. So then I realized at this point, I kind of thought we were going around with Picard for everything, but then we do get several scenes throughout this episode that Picard is not in. So like these like eras are going on without him, which is kind of wild. And kind of interesting. So then, because Dr. C asks Data and Geordi how long it's been since Picard's last neurological scan, and Geordi's like, don't ask him. But he did actually mention to Geordi earlier that it was a week ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And Dr. C's like, do you guys believe in this like time shift thing? And Data and Geordi are just like, they don't really respond. And she's like, same.
Yeah.
So then Picard.
She says like, she's
if
like,
Picard wants. Yeah, if Picard wants to do one more mission, then like let's fucking go with this. Then.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, so they don't believe him, but they want to humor him.
Yeah. So then we go to OF era, and Picard is ordering them to these specific coordinates, and Data isn't really getting anything on the scanners, and Picard calls out and then it's like, he's looking for Q. We're trying to go to the original spot where they met Q in the pilot, and nothing is happening. And then I wrote, what if Q is the anomaly and needs rescuing, and this is his way of directing Picard to him for help? And then Worf just goes, what is a Q? And then Yars goes, it's a letter of the alphabet as far as I know. Picard is confused with what's going on. He goes into the ready room and then ends up on the platform with a bunch of the randos grouped from earlier screaming at him. And then I was like, oh my god, I know this place. This is the fucking courtroom. And then, Q from the pilot enters on his weird crane throne thing. And Q says, Mon Capitan. I did not miss that.
Yeah.
I thought you would never get here. And then Picard's like, what the fuck, man? We did this 7 years ago. What do you fucking want from me?
Yeah.
And Q's like, bro, figure it out in the meantime, but let's play 10 questions. that call for yes or no answers. And so mankind. Oh, so okay, these are the answers to the questions, sort of. I didn't feel like writing the question answer period, but mankind is not on trial again. There is a connection between the trial 7 years ago and what's happening now. The spatial anomaly is definitely related to what's going on. It's not part of a plot from the Romulans to start a war. Q did not create the anomaly, but but Picard will be surprised to find out where it came from. And he is. Picard also asks Q if Q is responsible for him shifting through time, and Q gets like very serious for a second, and he's like, that he'll answer the question if he promises he won't tell anyone. Then he goes, yes. So Picard asks why, and Q decides that since that's not a yes or no question, no more questions. So Q says the trial from 7 years ago never ended. They never reached a verdict, but now they have. That humankind is guilty of being inferior.
Yeah.
I just wrote weird charge, like, and so Q says 7 years ago I said we'd be watching you, and we have been hoping that your ape-like race would demonstrate some growth, give some indication that your minds had room for expansion. But what have we seen instead? You worrying about Commander Riker's career, listening to Counselor Troy's pedantic psychobabble, indulging Data in his witless exploration of humanity. And then Picard says, we've journeyed to countless new worlds. We've contacted new species. We have expanded our understanding of the universe. But Q is like, bro... oh no, he goes, boo, you whore. You guys failed. We set the standards for this research, and you didn't, we set these standards for reasons, and you didn't meet said standards, so you need to suffer the consequences. So then Q says, it's time to put an end to your trek through the stars and make room for other more worthy species. And Picard says, you're going to deny us travel through space? And he says, no, you obtuse piece of flotsam. Yeah. You're going to be denied existence.
Yeah, there isn't going to be a pool, you stupid bitch.
Humanity's fate has been sealed. You will be destroyed. And Picard's like, come on, Q. I don't think you're going to do that. But Q's like, oh, girl, I'm not. Yeah. You're going to do it. And you've done it before. You'll do it again. Court adjourned. And so then Picard wakes up in Robe Era and tells Riker to assemble the senior staff and go to Red Alert. So we get another group meeting. I was so excited. Of the whole bridge crew again. Oh, just kidding. Okay, so when he sends off the Red Alert, it's the end of episode 1. And now group meeting is beginning of episode 2.
Wait. There's something I want to point out that annoys me. And I am going to have to go and get another copy of all of my TNG because of this. But... the to be continued thing comes up, and then it goes through whatever the fuck it's going through. Apparently, these episodes were ripped straight from Netflix. At least that's my guess. And that's pretty annoying, because that means that there is cut content, like more cut content. I don't know what the fuck happened, but Netflix left a couple of things out, because these are the syndication episodes, not the not like the full like DVD episodes or Blu-ray episodes. So there's a cutscene that I'll bring up a little later on that it annoys me quite a bit that it's not in here, but this is what clued me into it. Anyway, continue.
Oh, okay. So yes, we start off part 2, group scene, and Picard tells everyone he believes that it's different this time. What? I don't know. Oh, with Q. He's telling everyone what happened with Q.
Like, yeah, he doesn't think Q was lying, basically. He thinks he's telling the truth.
He's like, there was a deadly earnestness to Q, which has convinced Picard that Picard himself will actually be the cause of destruction of humanity. And Dr. C and Troy point out that Q has also said that Picard already did it and is currently doing it. So how does that work? So Picard is like, well, what should I do? Like, lock myself in a room in all 3 eras? I mean, kinda.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. Troy thinks that they should just keep going and just react to the situations that happen as they occur. And Picard is like, well, Q admitted that he is the one that is shifting him through time, so he might be trying to give Picard a chance to save humanity. And then I was like, this is the test of I wrote, this is the test. What are you going to do when forced with the end of your species? Just let it happen or fight back? Show the growth that Q is looking for. That's what I wrote. I was like, is that what they're going for? I don't know. So then Picard points out that Q has shown him to have a bit of a soft spot for Picard before. So then Data says, Q's interest in you has always been very similar to that of a master and his beloved pet. And then everyone's faces are so good. And then Data just goes, that was only an analogy, Captain. It's just such a good reaction. Okay, so approaching the neutral zone, they enter the bridge and we see Ensign Gates. Now that I know her name, what's up, girl? I'm so happy I know her name finally.
Yeah.
Only the end, but what's up? Hello.
I
Happy
will...
to see you. Hope all is well.
I will miss her very intense bob.
Oh, it's so good. It's very Velma Kelly of her.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Data says that there's 4 warbirds on the Romulan side. We got 2 starships on the Federation side. Picard tells Worf to hail the Romulan flagship, and then we cut to Beard Picard. Beard era, and Worf is now on screen, and again, Worf has aged pretty well. And so this is when I deduced that I was like, okay, so Riker's makeup is the worst because Worf looks fine.
Yeah,
Worf looks like a normal person.
Well, Worf's wig is a little weird because they do that thing where they streak between like the regular color and the white.
Oh yeah, but
I think it looked fine though.
It didn't look realistic though.
I thought it was fine. Honestly,
Yeah.
compared to everything else, compared to Riker's, I was like, everyone else looks fine.
Okay, fair.
yeah. To be fair though,
okay.
Worf's hair always kind of looks like a wig. Like it doesn't look
Yes.
particularly natural to begin with.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so then Worf says that, he says no to the medical ship crossing the border, and like, if Riker gave them a ship with cloaking, then that would have been like the best option, be most safe. And then he says, hard to believe even he would refuse to help you. And I was like, wow, Worf is not a Riker guy in the future.
Yeah.
What a bummer. And then I also noted, interesting that the Federation is using cloaking now.
Yeah, because their treaty with the Romulans is over because the Romulans have been taken over by the Klingons. So now they can develop cloaking technology. Nothing's stopping them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy you've noticed those little details.
Yeah. So then Picard says, well, I know that I'm an old man and I'm out of touch, but the Worf I remember was more concerned with things like honor and loyalty than rules and regulations. But that was a long time ago. Maybe you're not the Worf I once knew. And then Worf gets like visibly upset and like knocks everything off his desk. And then he just goes, very well, you may cross the border, but only if I can come with you. I am familiar with the neutral zone. And then Picard goes, terms accepted. This is just an episode where Worf just gets dunked on a lot.
Yeah.
This is
Everyone
true,
makes
yeah.
Worf feel bad. I feel bad for Worf. Okay, so now Worf is beamed aboard, and Dr. C tells Picard that, like, if anything happens, if any, like, Klingons show up, we are getting the fuck out of there because they have no way, they don't have the firepower to defend themselves. So they're getting out. And then Dr. C offers Picard the captain's chair, and he sits down and he goes, engage. And then we cut to OF era, and he directs the crew to the Devron system, and everyone is like, what the fuck? And Picard is like, yes, and? And then Troy asks to speak with Picard, and Picard's like, and Picard asks, oh, he has to speak with Riker at the Farpoint station. And so Troy is like, people are confused. And Picard is like, that's okay. I know they can handle this. Then we see
Also,
Riker appears on this.
Sorry, I just want to say, it's been established now that whatever Picard does in the past is not affecting the future. So he could have just he could have told someone
Yeah,
what
he
was
could have.
happening. Or he could have at
Yeah.
least made up something about, like, I got some, like, top secret orders, like, from Federation Command, and I just need you to trust me on this, or whatever.
Yeah.
He eventually says something similar like that, but, like, he could have solved this problem a lot earlier.
Yeah. So then we cut to Riker on the screen, and it's just old footage from the pilot.
Yeah.
Because, like, they couldn't use him now. He looks so different, and also he was not going to shave that fucking beard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very true.
So, yeah, that was, like, not going to work. But there's clearly, like, voiceover, so we just see him for a second looking at nothing.
Yeah.
Just looking off screen with, like, why...
Yeah, it's
so
clearly
awkward that he's
footage
not
from
looking
another
at the
episode.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the pilot, right? And
It's
so
it's
just
actually
when you hear
from an
him
episode called
voicing.
The Arsenal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I knew I recognized that it was, like, I knew it was from that episode.
Yeah, it's because that set is really fucking weird.
Yeah, because it's like the jungle or whatever. Anyway,
Yeah, so then young Riker with no beard is honestly really wild at this point.
yeah.
So then Picard tells him they're going to be delayed, and also let Dr. C and Geordi know. Because also then I realized, oh, Geordi's there too. Okay. And,
Oh, yeah, I guess he was.
I did not remember that Geordi boarded at Farpoint also, but so now we're back to Robe era, and Tomalak, the captain of the Romulan flagship, goes, because Picard's just been standing there. So he goes, so Captain, how long shall we stare at each other across the neutral zone? Like, that's funny. So then Picard pitches that they both send a ship into the neutral zone to investigate the anomaly. And Tomalak's are like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm on board. So they all head off, and they find the immediate the anomaly immediately
quick
glowing.
interruption. I'm pretty sure there is a little bit of cut dialogue there, and I'm annoyed about that because it's in like the broadcast version. It's in the version I used to see. It's in the DVD. It's in the Blu-ray. Unless I'm mixing this up with one other episode, but I'm pretty sure that at that point, Tomalak asks him. After he proposes, hey, we'll each send one ship in, and so what happens is Tomalak asks him, okay, so did Starfleet approve of this plan? And Picard says no, and he says, oh, I like it already. And I like him being like
that was
fun
not
like
in
that.
the version I watched.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because otherwise there's no reason for it to be that character of all people. Like, they pulled that fucking actor all the way over from season 4 and from shooting Babylon 5 at the same fucking time in order to do this cameo, and he's barely in it.
Yeah, so we find the anomaly. We got a glowing blob, and then we cut to OF era, and they're doing the exact same thing. They also just show up, and they're looking at it, and they realize it is way bigger in the past, in the OF era. And then they're also in the Beard era, and it's not there. There is no anomaly in the Beard era. So Data is doing all these scans and can't really find anything. And then the Klingons, we learn the Klingons know that they're there and are sending people to investigate what the fuck they're doing there. So Data thinks of like an out-of-the-box sort of way to scan to sort of see if there's anything there. But they need like a good amount of hours. Like, I think it was like 14 to get like a full scope of stuff.
Yeah.
But Dr. C's like, cool, you get 6, because then we're getting the fuck out of Dodge, because the Klingons are coming. Picard is pissed, and he thinks it should take however long it takes, regardless of time. But Dr. C is pissed back, and she's like, can I speak to you? And then she's basically like, never fucking speak to me like that on my ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And it's
then
like,
she rightly-
you're forgetting that I am still the captain here.
Yeah, and she rightly points out that like he wouldn't tolerate that kind of behavior, so like get your shit together. And she's like, I don't care that you're my ex-captain or ex-husband, we're not fucking pulling this shit.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, you're right. And but like she doesn't understand the stakes, but she's like, I'll do you one better. There are basically no stakes. This is nothing. This isn't anything. And she's only doing this for Picard. They're only there to like humor him. And we're fucking gone in 6 hours regardless.
Yeah. She's like,
So
if
now
it
we're
was
back.
anyone other than you, we wouldn't even be here.
Yeah. So now we're in Robe era.
Wait. There's another cutscene here, and this one bugs me a shit ton because I remember it really well. Maggie, do you remember the old Q scene?
No.
Okay, so in this shot, immediately after Beverly leaves the room, Q shows up, except he's in old person makeup too, and he starts like joshing on Picard and making fun of him.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sad that that isn't in here because it would have made a perfect screenshot for this episode.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back in Robe era. So Data says the anomaly is 200 million kilometers in diameter, and it's a highly focused temporal energy source, which is emitting approximately the same energy output as 10 G-type stars. So Picard suggests they use Data's idea from Beard era to scan the anomaly more thoroughly, but Data doesn't know it's his idea. Picard's just like, hey, we're gonna use this. How about this? And Data's like, wow, what a great idea.
And
so
Picard
Geordi and Data,
Picard fully steals the credit too. He never tells
Yeah,
Data that's his own idea.
yeah. So then Geordi and Data make some adjustments, and then they set the beam towards the anomaly. So Geordi then all of a sudden they're in engineering, and he's like feels like someone is sticking an ice pick into his temples, and his visor is picking up all kinds of electromagnetic fluctuations. So then Data immediately calls sickbay, medical emergency in engineering. So now we cut to sickbay, and Dr. C and Picard are just like really close up to Geordi's face, and Dr. C, as the DNA in his optic nerves is regenerating, Geordi, it's as if you're growing new eyes. And there is really no medical explanation for spontaneous regeneration of an organ. And then we learn 2 other crew members say that old scars are healing themselves. So this anomaly, okay, bear with me. This I just literally wrote down from what people were saying. It's a mouthful and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. The anomaly is an eruption of anti-time matter. This is a new concept in temporal mechanics. The relationship between anti-time and normal time is analogous to the, I spelt it wrong, to the relationship between antimatter and normal matter. If time and anti-time were to collide, they would annihilate one another, causing a rupture in space. Data believes that this is what happened in the Devron system. The rupture may be sending at waves? That doesn't sound right. Out. It's out, not at. Okay. Be sending out waves of temporal energy, which are disrupting the normal flow of time. So now we're back in the OF era, and Picard is giving a tiny recap to past Data about what they've already sort of done there, of like, hey, we should try doing this thing for the beam thing to figure out what caused this rupture. And then they measure in OF era, so in the past, the anomaly is double the size. It's 400 million kilometers in diameter. And so Picard then heads to his ready room, and now he's back in Beard era. And 2 Klingon attack cruisers have arrived, and they are attacking the ship. And Dr. C is like, let's get the fuck out of here. But warp drive is not working. So, and shields are gone. So, like, we gotta bust ass. So they're trying to get away, but they keep getting fired at. And then the fucking Enterprise appears. And, oh, hey, Riker's on the Enterprise.
Yeah. The Enterprise
he's like,
decloaks.
Yeah. And then Riker's like, yeah, I knew you weren't gonna fucking listen to me. So, and, he'll get the Klingons' attention, and he does that by shooting a fucking hole, a huge ass hole through each ship separately, and like a lot of explosions and
With
stuff.
the
I'm
new
like, well,
huge ass
whoops to all
laser
that.
that it's got,
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
on the bottom of the ship.
I also feel like
Yep.
this is the first time they've actually acknowledged and or taken advantage of the fact that, like, in space, like, you can go every which way.
Yeah,
Because,
you're
like,
right.
The Enterprise,
You're right.
yeah, the Enterprise comes from, like, underneath the like
One of the ships.
underneath, yeah, and the Enterprise is orientated vertically, right? Which, like, with, like, in space, it's like you would very rarely meet, like, perfectly, like, horizontal to each other. Shit would be facing all different directions.
Yeah. So Riker's like, oh, I expected this from Picard. Okay. So, okay, because the warp drive is fucking busted, it's going to explode. So he beams the crew from the Pastor over to the Enterprise. And so then he's like he says, oh, I expected this from Picard, but not from Worf. And then he just is like being really mean to Worf.
Yeah.
He just keeps piling on to Worf, and I felt so bad for Worf.
Yeah. Well, Worf
It was
was
like, make
also
Worf
like,
feel like shit day.
yeah, Worf was also arguing because he's like, if you hadn't, like, rejected his request, like, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just obviously not on good terms.
Yeah, it's really sucks as like Worf was such a Riker guy and is not a Riker guy now. So Riker's like, all right, well, let's go. But Picard's like, no, we got to stay here. We got to keep looking. We got to do shit. And he's super irritable. He's getting kind of hysterical. And so Dr. C knocks him out. And okay, so then we're back to Robe era. And so Picard goes to sickbay. And we see Alyssa is on one of the examination beds. And we see tears on her face, and then Dr. C pulls Picard over and she tells him that Alyssa lost the baby. That was the next cry for the cry count. That as Alyssa is like big Alyssa fan, and hearing that she lost her baby is very, very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so Dr. C thinks it's an effect of the anomaly. She thinks it caused the fetal tissue to revert to an earlier stage of development. And she says it's as if the unborn child began to grow younger until the DNA itself began to break down. So if the temporal reversion, I don't know what reversion, I think I wrote, continues, I don't think any of us are going to be fine for much longer. My thumb was covering the word. And I'm like, why don't I know what's next? Because my thumb is on it. So the crew's cellular structures appear to be going backwards, where they're getting younger slowly, but it could eventually go so far backwards that they all die.
Yeah.
So that's pretty bad, I would say. So then we... so then Picard, Riker, Troy, and Data. Picard wants to determine how widespread this effect is, so he tells Troy to contact Starbase 23, which is the closest outpost. We actually never find out what the fuck, if anything's going on there, but I guess it doesn't super matter at this point.
Yeah.
So then Picard wants Data to find out a way to collapse the anomaly without making things worse. So Picard just dismisses everyone, and he looks down at the table, and then when he looks up, Q is at the other end. And Q's like, wow, big decision here. Like, leave the anomaly and it could be the end of mankind, or fuck around with the anomaly and that could be the end of mankind. Who knows? And then Q brings Picard to Earth, France, 3.5 billion years ago. And they're kind of like partially in a cave, and then the ground is lava, but then there's water, and then the big ass anomaly in the sky, and it's huge. I think Q said it's like the quadrant or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah, the anomaly, like, fills the entire night sky on Earth.
The anomaly fills the
So
entire night
basically-
sky, and the floor is lava. What a world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, the further back you go, the bigger the anomaly is. So then Q shows Picard the origin of man, which at this point is really just goo. And he's like, yeah, the amoeba is going to get together to create a protein. And then they're looking at it, and then he's like, JK, doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because all this shit is here. Because the anomaly is there, so none of this happens. So, Picard says, "Are you saying I caused the anomaly and the anomaly somehow disrupted the beginning of life on Earth?" And then Q goes, "Congratulations." And we cut to OF era Picard, and he is assembled the brain trust that is Data and O'Brien.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a lot of options at this point in this era.
Yeah.
They got to figure out the origins of the anomaly. And so Data suggests, maybe this specific scanner we could use, but it's being sort of made, it's a prototype or something that we could look deeper into the anomaly. And then we skip to Robe era, and the Enterprise has this technology at this point. I was like, oh, great, cool.
Yeah, I liked
That's
that,
really funny.
Yeah, I liked that detail. Where
Yeah,
he's
me
like,
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, no, the scanner is only theoretical. And then 7 years
Yeah.
later, Data, do we have the scanner? Of course, sir.
Yeah. So then with this scanner, Data is able to see that there are actually 2 other tachyon pulses that are firing at the anomaly all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed, is this them in the other eras? Yep, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so so everyone is fucking firing on all 3 eras at the fucking anomaly at the same time.
Yeah.
So now in Beard era, Picard goes to find...
And this is definitely ruining the tour.
The world tour?
world
yeah,
tour.
100%.
The era's
Yeah,
world
for
tour.
Sure.
I want to point
Yeah.
something out that's funny. So they have figured out at this point that quote unquote the Enterprise, like the one ship put firing this tachyon pulse into this one point in
I
3
figured
different
you'd bring
times.
that up.
Okay, yeah, in 3 different time periods is causing the problem. The issue is the Enterprise didn't do one of them; the Pasteur did, and
Yeah.
apparently this is something that they all noticed after the episode went to air, because Rick Berman's 10-year-old son brought it up.
That's funny.
That is fucking
Although-
hilarious.
Having rewatched it, I will defend it a touch, because Data says it's as if the Enterprise did all 3.
Oh no, I agree. It
Yeah,
makes
so
less
it's like
sense
the-
if it's another ship.
Yeah.
If it's the same ship doing exactly the same thing in 3 different time periods, it would be like, okay, I get it. But if just any fucking ships could do this, then like you could spell
Well-
doom for anyone.
Yeah, well, I think it's because the tachyon pulse was like the exact same. They had the exact same settings on it on the Pasteur, so like whatever, like I don't know, wavelength or frequency, whatever the fuck measurements the tachyon uses. I think it's like because it's the same. Like that's what makes all 3 the same. It's like,
Yeah,
it's the,
yeah, that's
they
fair.
have the same settings for all 3. Even though the Enterprise wasn't the actual ship that sent the third one,
Right.
the one in the future. So that's kind of how I justify it, basically.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Yeah, but that is funny that the guy's son was like, but wasn't the third ship not the Enterprise?
Yep. I noticed that when I was a kid, too, and I'm just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I also find it a little weird that they go to the point in time where the, what do you call it, where the, not the point in time, the point in space where the big anomaly is supposed to be, and then they go there in the future, and, they're in the future time, they fire their tachyon pulse, and nothing's there, and they don't know what the fuck is going on. And fast forward a little bit to when they're on the Enterprise in the future, and they go there, and the anomaly is there. But I thought this thing was traveling backward in time, so how do they see it in the future from when they started it?
Well, I think they fired the pulse and then it like developed afterward. Like maybe it wasn't visible. It took a while to become visible. Also, the whole point is that this is a paradox.
Also, we're not
yeah,
there
okay,
yet.
that's fair.
We're not there yet. The recap is almost done, but we're not quite at that.
Okay,
bit
yeah,
yet.
fair.
Okay, so we're Beard era. Picard goes to find Riker and 10 forward. So we got Riker, Dr. C, Geordi, Data, and they ask Riker about his thing with Worf, and then then Riker says it's been going on for 20 years, and then cry number 5, I think. It's been since Troy's funeral.
Yeah.
I was like, this woman cannot catch a break in any fucking era.
Yeah.
She can't just fucking live. I was like, I can't. I'm so upset by this. And so we learned that Worf and Troy never really got together because of Riker. And Riker kind of assumed that him and Troy would get back together at some point. And so, I don't know, some weird tension. I don't exactly know what specifically.
Yeah, they don't
they
fully
don't really make it
explain it,
clear. So then Picard busts into 10 Forward, and he tries to explain that when the Pastor shot the Tachyon beam, it actually started the anomaly, and it grew backwards in time. And so then Data is like, oh, actually, I do understand what Picard is saying. It's a paradox. And they may have caused the anomaly that they were, in fact, looking for. And then Geordi's like, oh, yeah, I'm actually on board with this theory now. And then Picard and Data convince Riker to go back to the Devron system. And Data thinks we might be able to see the initial formation of the anomaly. So Riker orders the Enterprise to go back at max warp. And then everyone's heading off, and then Riker stops by Worf, who's sitting by himself at the bar, which made me sad. And they just kind of stare at each other for like a full minute, and then he tells Worf they could use a hand. And I was like, that's really nice, but like Worf sitting by himself at the bar made me actually quite sad.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
But then the way Worf looks at Riker and like how he immediately gets up, I'm like, he's back to being a Riker guy.
Yeah,
like, immediately.
He's Riker guy at his core of his heart. He's a Riker guy.
Yeah. I'm like, in that moment, I'm like, should I have been shipping Riker and Worf this whole time?
And Worf. Honestly, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, mute. Okay, so the anomaly's been now growing for 6 hours, and they're like, okay, we need to shut off the beams at all the other arrows. And Picard's like, great, when I'm there next, we'll do that. Cool. In the meantime, Data's gonna look into a way to close the rupture. And then we switch to Robe era, and then Picard's like, Data, turn off the beam. And then we switch to OF era, and he's like, Data, turn off the beam.
I love how tight that
Yeah.
editing was, honestly. It's fun.
And then back in Beard era, and the anomaly hasn't changed. And so Data's like, okay, I think the only thing we can do to close the breach is to take the Enterprise in and create a static warp shell. But we got to do it in all 3 eras. And so we're back in the OF era, and Yar is like, bro, you have to give us fucking something.
Yeah.
Because like what you're just asking us to like fly into this thing and just like risk our own lives for we don't even know what the fuck for. And Picard gives this rousing speech to be like, I trust you all. You're the best. Let's take a leap of faith. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Honestly,
He's like,
it
"Trust
wasn't
me,
a
bro."
great speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like trying. I was like, oh boy, this is not the speech he thinks it is.
Yeah, the entire justification is trust me, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like here we go. We're starting. So then we have all 3 Enterprises enter the anomaly, and it looks just like the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
Just all the Enterprises looking at each other. And then, oh my god, then the OF era Enterprise explodes. It
Yeah.
cannot like handle the what the fuck is the power
It can't
or like
handle
what they're
how
trying
much
to do.
Enterprise is there.
Yeah.
And then so like
They
they're
can't
like, oh, but it's
handle all
kind of
this.
working.
Like,
Yep. But it's working. The anomaly is starting to collapse, and then Robe era. Oh my god! Then Robe era, Enterprise also explodes, which I started crying there too because that's our people.
Yeah.
That's our Enterprise. So I was like, oh my god! Wait, what if there's a chance that we're now just stuck with like. With Beard era crew for the rest of the time? We're just stuck in a timeline where Troy died 20 years ago. She died so young, and everyone's doing bad. So I'm like, no, I don't want that. So yeah. So I think that was number 6 of Cry. So then Q appears to Beard Picard and is like, well, it was a good try, but all good things must come to an end.
I said the name of the episode.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, things are bad. They're looking bad at Beard era also.
Yeah.
And then I think they blow up too.
Yeah, everyone blows up.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, okay, so maybe things might not be the worst. So now
No, that's
Picard's
how the
back
show
in the
ends.
courtroom.
Everyone blows up.
Can you imagine if that was how it ended?
Yeah.
I would be devastated.
I would be
Honestly, I think there probably would have been a riot.
Yeah,
Because
it's-
it was
it's like
it was
the-
a big event when this aired.
Yeah, I
They had a showing at the fucking Sky Dome.
Yep. 40,000
Yeah.
people apparently showed up.
Yeah.
I'm glad no one had to see me watch this in real time because I was a fucking train wreck while watching this episode. Okay, so now Picard is back in the courtroom, and Q's like, wow, the Continuum didn't think you had it in you. And Picard's like, oh, so it worked? And Q's like, well, I mean, you're talking to me, aren't you? And Picard's like, oh, how's the crew? What about the crew? And then Q says, the anomaly, my ship, my crew. I suppose you're worried about your fish, too. If it puts your mind at ease, you've saved humanity.
And it's
Once
like,
again.
Well, now that you mention it, I am kind of worried about the fish.
I do like that he
Yeah.
points out once again, because, like, the implication was that he, in the beginning, was that, no, he had failed them over and over and over again. And it's like, wait a minute, but time is infinite, so he didn't, but yes, he did. He did both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Q says, for that fraction of a second, you were open to options you had never considered. That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars and studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence. And then Q's like, bye, girl. Still got lots of stuff to explore. Maybe I'll come visit one day. Bye.
Yeah.
Then Picard,
Yeah.
we cut to him exiting again out of nowhere with the long gray robe. And we're back to the earlier scene at the beginning of the episode where Worf and Troy were about to kiss in the hallway. And then I realized, so that Picard and Dr. C moment didn't really happen canonically then, eh?
Yeah.
So I was very mad.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the kiss now did
I
not
cannot.
happen.
This show will never let me fucking live.
Yeah.
It will never let me just have something. So I wrote in my notes, I'm going to lose my mind. And Troy's like, oh,
But that also
you
means
okay?
Troy didn't die young.
I know that, but that was in the different timeline, and I was like, that's. I'm glad we don't have that one, but I want this one. I want this one. I want Robera to keep going. So then, Troy's like, "Hey, you okay, Picard?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I could use some sleep. Bye." And he just like walks into the turbo lift and just disappears. And I was like, that's when I was like, where the fuck did he come from? Where was he go? Like he's just wandering around the ship in the robe.
Maybe.
So now we cut to later on, and Starfleet Command reports there's no unusual activity along the neutral zone and no sign of the temporal anomaly. So Picard is the only one who really has any idea of what even happened. Well, he has only memory of what's happened. So then we cut to Dr. C, Data, Worf, Geordi, and Riker playing poker, and Riker wins. And then Worf goes 4 hands in a row. How does he do it? And then Riker goes, I cheat. And then Data just looks up like, what? Betrayal. And then Riker goes, I'm kidding. So then Dr. C, then she's like, it's interesting how like Picard told us about what happened, but like how we drift apart, how things kind of go to shit and whatever. And Geordi's like, yeah, it kind of goes against all time travel rules. But Data's like, actually, I think it's okay because the anomaly didn't occur, so the changes have already happened. So I think whatever he told you in the future, he tells us that happened in the future is not relevant, because that isn't a chance of that happening again, because it's a completely different. It's just not an option anymore.
Yeah, the timeline's already different, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
Does that mean Picard
So-
told Dr. C about their kiss?
Well, that's the thing. I was also wondering how much did he tell? What level did he just tell the narrative, or did he tell specifics of what happened?
Yeah. Well, I think because like what Dr. C says is she specifically says that like he tells them about how they all drifted apart and stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know what level.
Yeah. So
how
I don't know
in-depth
how
he
detailed.
told them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, we got a new timeline in motion already. And so then Troy comes in and she wants to join the game. And then immediately after, Picard comes in and he wants to play. So they're like okay, you can deal. And then Picard's like, I'm pretty good at cards myself. So he's shuffling, and then he sort of takes a minute and looks around the table at everyone, and it's really sweet. And then he goes, I should have done this a long time ago. And then Troy says, you were always welcome. And the Picard says, last lines of the series, 5 card stud, nothing wild, and the sky's the limit. End of TNG. Oh, I cried at then too. That was the last cry. Was at the end.
Yeah, I thought it was like, yeah, because Picard has never joined the poker game before.
That's right.
So now that's how they're ending it, with Picard like sitting down and enjoying.
It symbolizes two things. But the theme of the episode, one is that this is his family, and that's who he's this is who he should feel comfortable with. But also that the real thing that Q is convincing him to explore is the moment. You have to understand how important the moment is, and so he's finally taking advantage of the moment when he's been reserved for so long. Because you notice that Picard, future Picard, is he's a lot more intimate with his friendships than he is on the ship.
Yeah, this entire episode is just like, you know, when you're at the end of like summer camp and you're like, well, I'll stay in touch. You know?
The episode is honestly, it does such a good job of basically being full of fan service without feeling even remotely patronizing or meaningless. Like it is put together with so much love and adoration for what they had created.
Yeah, it's like it touches on it gives a lot of people like a last hurrah, and it, you know, brings a lot of stuff back, you know, does the greatest hits without it feeling like okay, we have to check off the boxes.
There were actually other. There was going to be a fourth timeline initially when in one of the earlier parts of the script. Yeah, they were going to use Best of Both Worlds, and they were going to bring Hugh into it. Yeah, so Hugh was going to be partially responsible for rescuing Picard from the Borg, and then they were going to like put together this whole thing from there. So I think at that point in the script, I'm not sure if the what's it called? If the if it was like the time story at that point, I'm not even sure if they had gotten Q in at that point, because there is a lot, like so much interesting stuff that got left behind during both the scripting process and the filming process. And it's really interesting to dig through all of it. Like, I shit you not, there's a whole fucking page just going through all of the things that were left out of this. And
I mean, like, given the show, like how much good shit was there and stuff, it's like stuff was inevitably just not gonna make it in because there's
definitely
just too much.
Yeah. And
it
the
would have
end,
been worse if they tried.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think that maybe there are, like, the episode isn't a perfect episode, but it is obscenely satisfying. Obscenely. Like, it just does such a good job of making you feel good about going through all of it. Like, it manages to, even though it's almost hitting like a reset button at the end where it's like, well, and then life just goes on, it feels like a good send-off to everybody. And as I've mentioned previously, Generations was being written at the same time as this. Dory, without any spoilers, because you'll see this in literally any media ever about it, or even just the fucking cover, Generations is about Picard meets Kirk. I'm not going to tell you any more than that. It's Picard meets Kirk. So obviously that is a film that is also like very much going through like through the history of Star Trek. So you can imagine why writing both that and this episode at the same time were probably pretty disorienting, because it was the same two people writing it. And many years later, I think it was like in the mid-2000s or something like that, they both admitted on camera that, yeah, we think that the finale of TNG turned out better than that film did. Took them long enough to realize it, but, small steps.
Yeah, all right. I think we kind of jumped in there, but I think we need to give Dory her space to express how she's feeling now watching the final episode. And what she thought.
I'm like overwhelmed, but not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was definitely 100% I said earlier, the best episode of entire season 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I honestly think this is up in my top 10 of like favorite episodes.
I think this is considered one of the best TV send-offs that a show has had.
I would agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah, I think this is a really strong finale.
Definitely.
And also, the thing that I have to give credit for, that I constantly, critique TNG for, is the bullshit endings. They did a really good job with the conclusion of this story.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I think they made it wasn't just like a 1-2 quick fix. There was a lot of like going up to it.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
a lot leading up to it and building once they figured out what actually was going on.
Yeah.
I think we had enough time to sit with what the problem was, and then also having the time to sit with them to see all the multiple versions of Data trying to figure out how to fix it.
I like
Yeah.
that Data
And-
went through like a Sherlock Holmes moment as he's deducing like the first the first thing in his what do you call it, in his traditional residence at Cambridge, and trying to figure out like what's going on with Picard.
So I think I think they did a really, really good job. My biggest complaint is that I am absolutely destroyed that the Picard Dr. C kiss wasn't real. I don't even care about the fact like the future that they were exes, that they did get married. I could not even focus on that because I was like, that I don't anticipate this. I didn't anticipate that like that they were going to be continuing with that timeline until like basically the end, in which the other two eras blew up, and I was like, oh my god, are we going with the final timeline? Because then also like them divorcing was also like upsetting to hear for me too, but less interesting because then I was like, I am way more invested in Robe era because that's our current, that's
Yeah.
the people we've been with for 7 years. So that's where I'm invested the most. That's the section I enjoyed the most. I loved that they had multiple bridge crew meetings. I love the group together. I feel like everyone got some kind of like something to do. I feel like sort of Troy and Geordi were sort of most sort of sidelined, but they were still there for a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll allow it because everyone got some stuff to do to a certain extent.
Yeah, and even if they didn't
And-
like directly get stuff to do, they were still like an important person there.
Yeah, there was still, everyone was a factor in one era at least. So yeah, I'm crushed that Picard and Dr. C aren't, but I'm hoping, here's my future hope, is that because this happened in Picard's, like Picard knows this happened. I don't know if he told Dr. C that happened, but I do, because she kisses him, and that the issue was not him wanting to, like, not wanting to kiss her. It was her being like, I don't know that we should really get into this. We now know, he now knows that in this era, she's down to clown. It's possible. It's not so like so that did make me really happy to know that like it is still possible. And I'm glad I did get to see a kiss. Because that was really nice, and it was really sweet, and it was a nice moment. And but this was like truly a heart-wrenching episode multiple times.
Yeah.
I really hate that they just kind of like Alyssa ended up like, her story ended up being kind of like cannon fodder to a certain extent, or not a cannon fodder, like a like what's the word I'm
Like
thinking
it was like a
of?
plot device, sort of, or
No, because it didn't make the story. It just was like oh god, something damage. What is it called?
collateral damage.
Yeah, like her baby, like her losing the baby just really sucks. Like that's horrible. I mean, it doesn't happen. That's not real in the like
it ends up not
in
happening
this
so-
timeline. Yes, so she's still pregnant in the the real timeline, but still, like, just like it was such a quick shot of you see her face like on the table,
Yeah.
and she's got tears, and I was like, "What's going on with her? What's going on? What's happening?" And then to like hear that was really horrible. I was really happy we did get to have some Alyssa in the finale. There were some people I was really like hoping to see in the finale, i.e. Guinan. I was really hoping Guinan would show up
Yeah.
just to like
unfortunately
be
her
cool.
previous showing was her final showing for a while.
Yeah, which is too bad.
Yeah.
But I think, like, all in all, I really enjoyed this. I feel like the pacing was really good. So for the editing was really good. It just, like, everything kept going. This was probably the most, like, engaged I have been with an episode in a really, really, really long time.
that's fair.
Like, normally it takes me a really long time to get through an episode. The only reason this took me so long to get through is because I cried 7 times and had to pause. My pen died 4 times. I had to go through 4 different pens. So at one point I had to borrow a pen from someone else. Like,
It's also
was
like a long episode.
a lot of running around.
On top of that.
And I also wrote down I wrote 22 pages of notes. So, and there's a lot of dialogue, a lot of moments that I wanted to write down. So writing everything took a while. So it really only took a bunch of hours because there was a lot to going on with the episode.
Yeah.
I think like I'm pretty jazzed with this finale.
Yeah. It is sort of like widely accepted or known as like one of the best like TV finales, and that like it's actually like a satisfying way to end it.
It is like bittersweet though, because now I realize like that's it, we're done.
Yeah.
It was a great ending, but also sad.
Yeah, there are a few movies, but like they vary in quality.
They
And
certainly
a different
do.
vibe from the show too. Yeah, I guess we don't want to get too into it because we want to save it for the retrospective. But like, if just like brief, like, how are you feeling after this whole journey of going through this show?
Oh boy. God, I don't even know. I think like
Still need to process.
a little bit because I really finished the episode right before we started recording. We jumped in while it's still super, super fresh. And just, I think honestly, like the biggest thing for me is the bridge crew, how I got kind of used to seeing them for the past, 5.5 years.
Yeah.
Pretty regularly, and I've grown really attached to them. And even like Troy dying in a different timeline, Geordi in a different episode died in a different timeline or different scenario, and I was really upset by that. So these are people, these are characters that mean a lot to me. And now that like, because honestly, I actually did start the episode yesterday. I watched the cold open, but I was literally about to cry by the time the credits hit. And I was like, I need to watch this in one go. I can't do this over 2 days.
Yeah.
Or I need to watch it when it's like still fresh, or like so my reactions are, so I need to not do this because like when I was started yesterday, it really hit me like this is the last episode. This is it. I'm not like I got so used to there being another season for more bridge crew craziness, and now that it's done.
Yeah.
For the I know there's like the movies, but like in the context of the setup of this show, that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
And the show has been in general, I think, like a little hot and cold for me, but the characters I've always been like very, very fond of. And it was also like super cool to see Yar. That was like really like heartbreaking, and really nice to see Yar again.
Yeah.
I mean, fun to see Q, even though it's for briefly, and nobody else, no other guest stars of this episode.
That's true. There was no one else in this
No.
episode.
Yeah.
No other guest stars in this episode.
I'm
No,
hoping.
seeing O'Brien was fine. I was kind of indifferent. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
So because this was like an ensemble show that focused so much on characters, Once we move on to DS9, I'm hoping that you'll end up making some connections there, but the characters do end up feeling very different, because the thing about TNG, that we're going to get more into this when we do like the series retrospective and whatnot, but TNG plays it safe a lot. And it does have a reputation of that. Like there were things about this show that were not playing it safe for the time period that it comes out in, but overall it feels very like calm. We're going to take usually the easy way out. We don't have to do too much character development because there's a magic reset button at the end of the episode, that sort of thing. And that isn't really what happens as Star Trek continues. Well, okay, it depends on the series,
depends
because
on the series.
Voyager fucking does it a lot, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, I don't know what you're gonna think going forward. Part of me hopes that you'll enjoy it, but the vibe is very different going forward too.
The
Even
vibe
when
is
we get to
different,
the
but the
Sorry, go.
characters are very strong.
They are. They're just
Like,
strong in different ways.
In Deep Space Nine, to clarify.
There's
But
also
I-
a larger cast of side characters, so there is that, like repeating side characters.
Yeah, and the characters on Deep Space Nine are a lot messier than the characters on TNG. Whereas like there are characters who like are like in a way like more like real people, in that like they have, some of them have some pretty serious flaws. Some of them have done some pretty fucked up shit. And like, but they also have redeeming qualities as well. So it's a lot more on TNG. Like everyone's just fundamentally a good person. Whereas like in DS9, you kind of have to like, some of the characters you really have to wrestle with, and like you have to, you know, it's not always clear whether they are like a good person or not. Or they do things that like maybe changes your opinion of them and that sort of stuff. So, but I think the characters are strong enough that I think, Dory, you will enjoy them. Or at least love to hate a couple.
We can cross our fingers.
We shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see.
And I really liked how they ended on like sort of a like, you know, like life just keeps going note. Because I thought that was like a really, like, how else are you supposed to end it? And I thought like bringing it, like ending with Picard joining the card game was just so sweet. Like that was just such a sweet note to end it on. And it was like, yeah, because it all comes back to the beauty of the show was the connection between the characters.
You know what is fucking wild to me? I didn't notice it until we got into it, but it takes a really long time for them to introduce that Q is the problem, and then even longer for him to appear again, partially because they cut that moment that I talked about. But but like, yeah, he's like, he is a fundamental part of the plot, but he almost isn't even there. It's really impressive how well he's utilized.
Yeah, because like he's not actually in the episode all that much.
No, he isn't.
Even though, and I thought it was, and Dory, even though you were like really down on yourself for your prediction, you got it, like you hit the nail right on the head.
Oh,
you were
yeah.
like, it's going to be the trial again.
Yep.
I did? I don't
Yeah.
even remember what my prediction was.
That's what you guessed.
Yeah, because one of the tidbits I gave you that it was going to be like full circle, and it's like, well, if it's full circle, it's got to be Q in the trial, right? And then you're like, I'm not happy with that prediction at all.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but you hit the nail right on the head.
Wow. So I successfully predicted the last episode.
Congratulations.
Oh, I was going to bring up earlier that, Dory, when you were talking about, like, sort of, like, you know, the series has been, like, hot and cold for you and stuff like that, but also, it's just, like, even the episodes where I sort of, like, had to slog through it, I was always kind of, like, excited to talk about it with you guys. So I think that was, like, that's also, like, something that's making me really emotional, is that, like, the fact that, like, we started this, like, during the in the middle of the COVID lockdowns, and, like, now we're here, and we finally, like, I can't believe we actually finished the series.
It took
in almost real time.
yeah, basically. I mean, we've gone
We
through.
cut a couple years off of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but not by a lot.
Yeah.
5.5 years it took us.
but it is still like. I mean, now it's actually going to take 7 years to get through the next series, which means
Oh God.
Yeah.
which means I will be in my mid-40s when we finish. So that's going to be
jeez.
fun. Yeah, I'm 45. I have a Star Trek podcast.
Listen,
I mean-
there are 45-year-olds with worse ideas for podcasts.
You're not
Yeah.
wrong. That's true. At least
So,
it's not like a reactionary politics podcast.
Yeah.
Or is
yeah.
it? Let's talk about how great the fascist Cardassians are.
Yeah. Oh, I read something a while back where it was like, the person was like, I was watching Deep Space Nine. No spoilers, but Dory. But I was watching Deep Space Nine, and I was just wondering, like, what the average Cardassian citizen life is like. Like, how do you just live your life while this like expansionist imperial government is like out there doing all this horrible shit? And then
Yeah.
I think her dad or something is like, well, you live in America, and she was just like, oh my God.
That's good.
Yep.
I honestly hate that they set up Geordi as a fucking novelist. Like that just does not.
Yeah, there's never been anything about his character that like said that's where he was gonna go.
No, this is something that TV does a lot. It's not just Star Trek. It's something like, oh, well, they went and moved on with their life. And I'm like, I'm sorry. My dad is a techie guy, and now he's in his 70s, and he's still a techie guy. That's all he does. He's not writing books.
Yeah.
Because that's just never something that ever factored into his interests. Okay, what else? Oh, they were going to do... they were going to do a scene with Worf on the council that got dropped as well, and honestly, I don't think that would have helped. I think it was
Yeah.
better that it was a surprise. Right, okay, so the Worf asking Riker's permission to date thing, the way that they wrote it, like that was cut from the script, was Riker does end up giving his consent, and then thinks for a moment before surprising both Worf and himself by withdrawing it. Yeah,
That's so weird.
The
I know,
fuck?
right? I would love to read that version of the script. I don't even know
Yeah.
if it's out there. Like, I assume something about it is out there. All
Yeah.
I have are these
That-
little blurbs in the book.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, but that feels out of character for Riker, to be honest.
Well, the point is that he surprises himself as well when he does it.
True.
It's not a this is Riker's true honest self. This is Riker's reactionary behavior because he's put off by what he's seeing. And he does point out in the episode, like, he always thought the two of them would get back together. It would just
Yeah.
happen once his career stopped getting in the way. And now he's at a point where his career has stopped getting in the way because he's comfortable where he is and he's happy with that.
yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, okay, you've convinced me that it could be within Riker's character, but I think that's not a good move for finale.
No, I agree. I am
Yeah,
glad
like
that they
that-
left that one out.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting idea for like an earlier episode where like the whole episode is about Riker like dealing with this.
Yep.
But I feel like that would have been too much of like a curveball for a finale.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I'm not saying that these things like should have turned up at some point.
Yeah.
I do like that. Like, there's even callbacks in the episode that like you don't even realize were callbacks. Like the fact that when Yar is flying Picard around the ship, it's on the shuttlecraft Galileo, which is a callback to TOS because that was the big famous shuttlecraft on that ship. So. Yeah, they even had an episode around it. I can't remember which one it was. It's not a very good one, so there's that.
Yeah, I don't remember, to be honest.
I think it's just called, no, what is it called? The Galileo 7, because it's shuttlecraft number 7 or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, okay, I guess there's nothing else
Oh,
in here that I can find off the top of my head.
Actually, and stop me if Dory, you described this part, because I feel like this is important. But at the final poker scene where they're discussing, like, why do you think, like, he told us this stuff, and Riker's like, so hopefully, like, and he says his line about, like, how hopefully, this that these things won't happen, and he's staring at Worf, and Worf
yes.
smiles at him and says,
Oh,
agreed.
yeah. I didn't say it.
Yeah.
I didn't say that in my recap. It was getting so long.
Yeah, no problem. But I'm just bringing it up because I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're like, you know what, we're not gonna let this get between us. Like, we're gonna work it out. Worf's gonna stay a Riker guy. We're gonna make sure.
Yeah.
I really like that we get Big Q in this episode, honestly. Like, because Q for the last several appearances has been very focused on like very personal matters.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a combination of the two of them, because he's going back to the trial, but it's also directly about Picard. So it really combines the way that his character was introduced with the way that it evolved as they developed him. Because he only showed up on TNG 8 times in total.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
And
That's wild.
And it is like, yeah, because like most of his appearances are like, he's like sort of like a, like, an impish trickster kind of deal. It's very fun. And then every once in a while, like the Borg episode, you get reminded, and this episode you get reminded, like, oh wait, no, he's actually like a serious threat. Like, like Q is actually like not like not someone to fuck with, and he still has like immense power over everything pretty much.
They were going to do a little like costume sight gag with him like they did in the early seasons, and they were going to like dress him up like a Grim Reaper and whatnot, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm kind of glad they left that back in like season 2.
Yeah, honestly though, I would have accepted it. I just
That's
think that's
fair.
Like, for
Well, they had
Q, like, he's
they
just
had
so
him
silly.
they had a, what do you call it, they had a scene that they dropped. It was never filmed. It was like just in the early drafts, where he starts off what do you call it, questioning, when Picard's asking him questions, they set it up as if he's in like a game show.
Oh,
And like Picard's like flipping answers and whatnot, and I'm like, that's a really silly. So I'm really glad that they just went back to the trial room instead. Also, probably a lot cheaper to go back to the trial room.
yeah. They had to figure out how to get us thrown on the jib rig again.
Yep.
Good.
Yep, I mean,
Jesus,
they
honestly,
already-
that looked really hokey.
They already had
That
like a
looked
good
so
amount
silly.
of new sets in this episode. So like you had the new bridge on the Pasteur and its separate room. You had the, what do you call it? You had Data's you had Data's room at Cambridge. You had to redress the Enterprise set. You had to oh damn, what was the other one? They had to shoot outside on the vineyard and all of that. So like there's a lot. There was one more scene that got dropped, and I'm very sad about this, but instead of Riker showing up with the Enterprise, they were going to steal it from a museum. So they were going to
That's
have like a
unnecessary.
fucking... It was unnecessary, but they thought it was really fun, and it apparently just got dropped because they were like, okay, this is just indulgent, right? And they're like, yeah, it is. Anyway, they do that on the Picard show instead.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yes, it definitely is.
Yeah, so before we move on, I just want to be sappy about the real world for a second in relation to Star Trek. And it's like, so Star Trek is obviously very deeply meaningful to me, and so is space stuff in general. And so we recently had the Artemis II mission happen, which is where they sort of sent a crew slingshotted around the moon to sort of, it was basically a test flight for when they are eventually going to return to like land on the moon and hopefully like make a base there, like a permanent base there. And it just was like so like fun and inspiring, and just like it was like for a brief moment like everyone was like happy, and it felt like humanity could still do like these big great things that were like just purely for the benefit of humanity. And I remember they put the crew together during the Biden era. So
Yep.
like they were purposely making the crew like diverse and like, you know, as diverse as you can get. So you know, they had a woman, they had a black man, and they had a Canadian, which is like, I know that's like in terms of diversity, that's not really like, you know, a big deal, but like it in terms of like NASA including like an astronaut like from another country like is kind of a big deal. And I just like, it also made me think about like the last time that like we went to the moon, which was like in the 70s, and like the first time in the 60s, which was like not far removed from segregation. You know,
That's
like
true, yeah.
like desegregation had only recently happened, and like female astronauts were like literally not like, women were not allowed to be astronauts. They like I read up on this thing, there was like it like kind of got buried after it happened, but they actually had a group of women take like all the same like tests like that the male astronauts were doing, like intelligence and endurance and like all like physical and mental tests, and apparently the women did better on like everything, like
Shocking.
even like the endurance stuff, and they buried it because they didn't want it to come out that like women were good at this stuff. And for a while it was a requirement because they couldn't I think they couldn't just straight up say like no women allowed. But what they did was they made it a requirement to be a fighter pilot to become an astronaut, and women weren't allowed in the military. So that's just how they cut it off, right? So it just got me thinking of that, and it got me thinking of like the future of Star Trek, where it's like, you know, just casually diverse and all this, and humanity's just one like united unit and stuff. And like when the Artemis mission happened, it was just like, it felt for like a brief moment in time that I saw that future, the Star Trek vision of the future for real. It felt like it was actually possible, you know. And even despite all the bullshit happening now, it was just like, I saw the mission happening and I saw everyone's reaction to it and how positive and the vibes, and it's just like, oh my god, like we could have this, and we almost kind of do, like we are living in an incredible future despite how many problems there are. And it just like, it just makes Star Trek that much more, like, to bring it back to Star Trek, but it just makes it that much more special to me in the fact that like the show, and I guess Gene specifically, like had that vision of the future and like really just showed it to people. You know, I think there was an episode a while back where we were talking about this, Jeff, where the philosophy of like, you know, doing this diversity stuff, but then making it like an issue within the universe of the show. And what Star Trek wanted to do was to just, let's just show them the future we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yep. instead of just telling about it, let's just show what it looks like, you know? Like with original series, it's like, let's just like, instead of like making race like an issue, and like, even though they do have an allegory about like, you know, racism and stuff, but like in terms of like the characters on the show, it's just like, oh look, we're just gonna like, instead of bringing it up as an issue within the universe of the show, we're just gonna show you, hey, this is what integration looks like, and it's actually not scary at all, and it's fine, and it's actually like chill and normal to just like you know, work side by side respectfully with a black woman or a Japanese man, or like, you know, whatever else. So I don't know, I just wanted, like, I wanted that feeling that I had from the Artemis mission and how it connects back to Star Trek. I wanted to get it onto the podcast, and I felt like this was a good good place to put it.
I
think.
definitely agree with that. As an excellent time to bring it up.
Yeah.
And like it's worth noting because you brought this up earlier about how big of a deal this episode coming out was. Like even like at the time that this was coming out, stuff like NASA was kind of like on the downturn because this was the middle of this was the beginning of the Clinton era. It was like 12 years, 14 years into neoliberalism. There were cuts happening across the board. They were like, why are we spending money on X, Y, and Z? Why are we doing this? Let's start spending less money on things. Let's put more money into the police and things like that. And it's interesting that the world, at least the United States especially, was going in that direction at the time that this was being made. And these people were so... like inspired about what the future could be, and meanwhile it was on its way to where we are now. And like the size of how big this wasn't just a big deal here in Toronto where they showed it at the Sky Dome. This was a big deal when they were shooting it, and they knew it was a big deal. There was a documentary being filmed of the last episode simultaneous with the last episode being filmed. That they were going to show before the episode. Like, it was a big TV event. It was a thing that people were actually caring about. And that is wild for something that wasn't even a network show. It was a syndicated show. That never fucking happens. And I don't think it's happened to this day.
Yeah. I think the closest is probably Game of Thrones.
Yeah, probably. Though that wasn't... That was HBO.
Yeah. But what I mean in terms of like a TV show having that kind of capture... And it
okay.
And it having I guess the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like Phase 1, or was it like Avengers Endgame, I think.
I mean,
like,
it wasn't that big, but that is an allegory for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Star Trek was never going to pull in $1 billion at the box office or anything like that, and it still has not, but
for sure,
and hopefully never will.
But in terms of, like, because of the internet and how, like, we can indulge, like, we can, like, sort of stay within our niches more. We don't have a lot of the same kind of like monocultural events that we used to.
That's true. Yeah, very good point.
So like Game of Thrones and like the Avengers Endgame, like the whole cinematic universe, like coming to that like sort of conclusion.
And everybody caring about it. Yeah.
And everybody caring about it. Everyone on the same page. Everyone like thinking, you know.
I feel like maybe the ending to Breaking Bad might be a better allegory than Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones lost a lot of viewers in that final season, even before hitting the end.
Yeah. That's
like
true.
It was speeding its way towards irrelevancy already.
Yeah, Breaking Bad was popular. I don't think it reached the same level though.
No, not at all. But it was very popular.
Yeah, but regardless, it's like if you're having trouble picturing like how like what it was like when TNG finished, like just think to like Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, that kind of thing, same vibe.
Yeah, definitely. And like there are what do you call it? There are photos of people in Toronto City Council dressed up like Starfleet officers, just you know, for the hell of it, for that finale, because they went there and they're just like, yeah, we're all just part of this because this is cool and we like this stuff. It was very much known as a show for dads, so there's that. But of course, dads sat down and watched it with their kids. So I mean,
that's
here
hilarious because TOS was considered for like housewives.
No, seriously. Well, I mean, that's kind of the stereotype that you know, women become a fan of something and then men ruin it by taking the fandom away from them.
Yeah, I mean, women are the reason Star Trek like became anything.
Yeah,
honestly.
That's true. We have gone into that before,
especially in the era between TOS and TNG. Like they kept it alive with like the very first conventions were like organized and ran by women, and it was like it was the shippers that really kept Star Trek alive. Honestly,
it was the Spurkers.
Yeah, apparently, like Gene Roddenberry like kept like Spurk fan fiction like in his office and stuff.
Well, okay, keeping in mind, the thing about Gene Roddenberry is he was, first and foremost, a television exec guy.
Yeah.
He pitched so many fucking shows. And after Star Trek went off the air, I think it was like a year or so later, the Nielsen rating system was introduced, and the network found out, not the network, the studio found out that actually Star Trek had been very popular, and they didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, fuck, we canceled this for nothing. What the hell are we going to do? And Gene spent like the next 8 years pitching stuff, and none of it got made. Like, well, no, that's not true. Some of it got made. None of it got turned into like a series. But at the time, the fandom for Star Trek was developing, and he was going to these conventions as a guest because they were asking him, and he wasn't doing much else. And, you know, they could afford to give him a little bit of money for it. He was like, yeah, sure, why not? And we talked about this really early on in the podcast about how Gene was kind of a little up his own ass with how revered he was for Star Trek. And a lot of that is going to conventions and literally getting that treatment from fans.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's really hard to go to a bunch of events like that and not think, man, I'm hot shit.
Yeah. Apparently, John Delancey is not, is kind of a jerk.
Oh, yeah. He's actually revised his story about this episode several times.
Oh, really?
Initially, what he claimed was he found out that the series was coming to an end and reached out to Rick Berman and said, hey, I've been part of this series, you know, over every year or so. You keep bringing me back. What do I have to do to get you to hire me for the last episode? And Rick apparently told him, oh, don't worry about it. You're already in, whether you like it or not. And years later, he was asked about it again, and he was just like, what? I never talked to Rick Berman about it. And it's like, okay, great. So you were making shit up or something. We don't know. But yeah, I've heard he's a bit of a tool. But that's just how it is. It's okay. We'll always have Robert Picardo instead. He's a lot more fun.
Yeah. Alrighty. So time for our last favorite moments and lines of the episode.
Oh boy. Okay. There's like a lot of good stuff in this. I like when Worf and Troy are talking at the beginning after they leave the holodeck, and she's like, we got to use it more, but I'm picking. And then Worf's like, Deanna, perhaps before there is a next time, we should discuss Commander Riker. And then she goes, why is he coming along? I love Data's 50 cats. I like that we got to see Yar again. That was really nice. I liked the scene where in sickbay with I love Picard walking around that robe for so long. It's a great robe.
Yeah.
And Dr. C says, personally, I think you just enjoy waking everybody up in the middle of the night. And then Picard says, actually, I really like running around the ship in my bare feet. I like that we got to see Alyssa. It was nice to see Q. Oh, I did like the I won't read it again, but the O'Brien and Data exchange about burning the midnight oil.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I did like that a lot. I love that we got to have like a multiple bridge crew meetings. I love the teamwork. I love everything with Dr. C and Picard. Oh God. I can't believe they did kiss, even though it's not really canon. Oh, I liked Worf and Yar's exchange. What is a Q? And then Yar is the letter of the alphabet, as far as I know. Oh, I liked Tomalak, the Romulan captain. When Picard is kind of zoning back into Robe era, he goes, "So, Captain, how long shall we stare at each other across the neutral zone?" I really like that. Oh, okay. Q saying, "The anomaly, my ship, my crew. I suppose you're worried about your fish too. That puts your mind at ease. You've saved humanity once again." And then everything with the last scene in the poker, playing poker in Riker's quarters. His exchange with Worf about that Riker cheats is really good. Troy coming in, Picard coming in. I love that the last sort of technically line of the show is the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
No, it's not. He said nothing wild.
No, he says, and the sky's the limit.
No, I know. And you said, that's pretty wild. And I said, no, it's not. He said nothing wild.
Oh. Boo. But honestly, like, there's so much in this episode that's really, really good. So,
Yeah.
a lot to choose from.
Yeah. I
A lot of highlights.
Yeah. I also like the robe, but specifically the deep V. I was very much enjoying that.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to shout out, I thought Brent Spiner did such an incredible job of acting as acting as like Data through the different eras. Like that he was able to capture that like early series Data as well as like, you know, the Datas he's comfortable in and like sort of a future version of Data where he's progressed a bit more. And it's like, and you can tell that like Data in the future in Beard era, Data doesn't have like, they don't say he has like an emotions chip or anything, but he's just sort of learned more to like, learned to emote more. So he's not like so flat anymore.
Patrick
And
Stewart
so
also does a great job of being a crotchety old man in the future.
Yeah, he does. He does. And yeah, again, another shout out to the editing, very smooth. I thought they did a really good job in sort of like how you can immediately differentiate the different eras. Like, you know, the future, they gave him a beard, and he acts slightly more grumpy. He's in civilian clothes. We have our standard Picard, where he's in like the two-piece uniform, and then you have like OF Picard, where he's in the like jumpsuit uniform. And it's like they did a really good job of like making sure that like at all times you can very easily tell which era you're in. Right? I liked that Dr. C gets to be a captain, that she was able to be a captain. Oh yeah, and I liked that little bit where it's like they're trying to figure out like the scanner, and then like in like the OF era, Data's like, oh, this scanner's like only theoretical, and then we pop into I forget what you call the standard era.
The robe era?
Yeah, the robe
era.
Yeah, the robe era. And he's like, Data, do we have the scanner? And Data's like, yes, of course.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. That's honestly, like you said, there's a lot, but that's all I can think of like off the top of my head. Those are the ones that like stand out to me in the moment.
My favorite moment is when old Picard is in the ready room and Q shows up, and then he says, "What was that, Sonny? I couldn't quite hear her." And Picard says, "What's going on here? Where is the anomaly?" And Q says, "What? Where's your mommy? Well, I don't know." Sorry, that moment was cut. No, I literally have re-downloaded the entire series in the last like 2 hours just to make sure that I have like the uncut versions of this. I will not stand for missing moments of my favorite fucking show. Yeah, sorry. I really like crotchety old Picard. I think that Patrick Stewart actually does a fantastic job of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it at first I was just like when I was younger, I was like, oh man, he's acting like, you know, a stereotype old guy. But no, I know lots of old people now. He's acting like an old guy, like a genuine old guy. It's impressive.
Yeah, they're just kind of like that.
Yeah, the way that there's less vocabulary. He's having a more difficult time going through his thought processes. He ends up repeating himself a lot. Whenever Data pipes in to be like, "Oh, I think Picard might be talking about this," and Picard's like, "Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about." And it's like, "Were you though? Were you? Are you sure? Are you just agreeing with him because Data gives you like an aura of like acceptability? What's going on here, Picard?" But no, I really enjoy him specifically in all of those scenes. He does a magnificent job there, and it stands out to me really, really well. I was extremely amused seeing young Riker again, even though it's just for like a brief moment. But I found that very funny. Like as soon as he pops up, I'm like, oh God, I forgot how quickly he changed over the years.
Yeah.
Because no one else changed as much as he did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even makeup. Like Worf's makeup changes pretty
like
substantially
just his
over
like
the years.
facial structure. Like you know, to address the elephant in the room, like, he does gain a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's also not even, like, in terms of, like, he's bigger, but, like, his facial structure did kind of change. Like, I think and that tends to happen to men anyway, like, as they get older, like, sort of their face gets wider.
Yep,
A
that's
bit.
true.
And, like, obviously the beard, right?
Yes.
And it's like,
100%.
and I don't blame Jonathan Frakes for not wanting to shave it.
No,
'Cause it's like-
of course.
Yeah.
I think he shaves it in one of the movies, so good times there. That's not going to be awkward.
Yeah.
I really like when Bev tells Picard off for questioning her on the bridge.
Yes.
That is
Yeah,
that
that
is a
is a good
scene
moment.
that I think does an excellent job of highlighting where Picard is now at that point in time, but also what he should remember, and the fact that it takes him a moment because now he's a crotchety old man, but eventually he does apologize for it.
Yeah.
And I really do appreciate that moment. It reminds me of the moment between Data and Worf in that otherwise not great episode that I pointed out. God, what was it? Like a dozen or two episodes back, where what do you call it? Worf gets impatient with him on the bridge as when Data's in command.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, and he ends up pulling him to the ready room to give him the riot act. And I thought that was a really good moment in that episode too. And it's just I really like those dressing down moments when they're done well and they end amicably, because those are
it's
moments
like-
that have to happen, because sometimes we react before we think. That's a natural human thing.
Yeah. And I do like seeing the crew deal with negative conflict.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Like,
And I mean,
'cause
as we get
that's-
into DS9, that's going to be very different, because the thing
Yeah.
about TNG that really made things stand apart is that the early influence that that Gene Roddenberry had, where he was just like, no, humans don't have conflict with each other anymore at all. That's the way the future is. And it's like, yeah, but it happened on your previous show all the time. And it
Yeah.
happened in the movies that are still being made. So, like,
And
are you sure?
Yeah. I just think that's unrealistic. Like,
It was unrealistic. And as Michael Piller went out and said, and actually so did, what's his nut? The jack-off who was head of season 2. I can't remember his name right now. Maurice Hurley. As he said, that doesn't make for entertaining television to watch.
yeah.
If
and
your
like,
characters don't have any conflict, then what the fuck are you going to do? And that's why they would push the conflict onto the alien characters. And you got that when we got into when we got into Voyager as well, how they would deliberately try to not have conflict between the human characters, and because of that they were like, okay, well, we need as many aliens as possible because they still have conflict. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not fair.
Yeah, and it's just like, not only is it not entertaining, it's, I just think, like, unrealistic. Like,
Yeah,
I think,
definitely.
I think it's definitely like, you know, you can't get rid of disagreement, you know?
That's right.
You can't get rid of people making mistakes. But you can have a better reaction to it. So it's
Yes.
like the way my modified version of the future from Gene's, where it's like, I think there is still conflict, but I think everyone, my ideal is everyone knows how to deal with it in a healthy way. It's like, we know how to address conflicts before they become a big deal. That's
But-
my version of the future.
Oh no, I definitely
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, I think that fuck, the episode just makes me happy to watch again. I always
I
forget
know.
how much I enjoy the process of watching this episode.
Me too.
Because
I thought I was
it's been
gonna
a
have
long
to,
time
like-
since I did.
Yeah, me too. I thought I was gonna have to, like, kind of not suffer a bit, but I thought I was, like, gonna be bored, you know, for
Yeah,
a
because
bit.
it's a long one that we've seen 100
It's
times.
a long one. Yeah, I've seen it a bunch, that sort of thing. But no, I was engaged the entire episode, and I was smiling big, like, throughout
Same.
by the end, because it's just
Same.
like,
Which
it's such a good
which reminds me,
send-off.
I have to upload the screenshots for later. But
And as much as we love DS9, it unfortunately does not have the best send-off, in my opinion.
No,
Yeah.
Definitely not. I mean, it's all about bad vibes.
Yeah. All right. So, as we said last time, there's no prediction for this episode because that's it. Yeah. So there's going to be 2 more episodes after this, and we mentioned that. I believe I mentioned that we're not going to be doing predictions for Deep Space Nine, which means we are going to be doing Deep Space Nine. So, so you folks have that to look forward to as well. But we got 2 more for TNG before we officially say goodbye to this property. So join us for those, and join us on the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.